This is ChestertonRadio.com.
Tonight, Mr. Glenn Ford stars in The 39 Steps from Studio One at CBS.
You're a woman, and you're defenseless, and you're alone on the desolate moor in the dark, handcuffed to a murderer who'd stop at nothing to get you off his hands. If that's a situation you enjoy, my lovely, have it and welcome.
We invite you to Studio One, radio's celebrated playhouse of dramatic entertainment, featuring the world's great stories, novels, and plays, in special versions for listening. And now to introduce tonight's great story, here is the director of Studio One, Fletcher Markle.
Tonight we present you with a tall and shamelessly exciting story by that wizard among authors of mystery adventure, the late John Buchan. With the 39 Steps, we offer you spies and secrets and high doings in England and Scotland. Romantic interests aren't going to be neglected either. There are at least two mysterious ladies to be heard from, whose charm is equaled only by the trouble in which they get themselves and a certain young man involved. In our story, that young man is a personable Canadian named Richard Hannay. And tonight we have with us in Studio One another personable and very talented Canadian to bring Richard Hannay to life for you, Mr. Glenn Ford. With Mr. Ford, you'll be hearing Kathleen Cordell as Pamela, Mercedes McCambridge as Annabella, and Miriam Wolfe as Annie, with Everett Sloane and John Stanley contributing the largest share of many villainies. The 39 Steps by John Buchan. Please to begin.
Taken?
No, I don't think so.
Well, would you mind moving your coat?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
There you are.
She was rather good, wasn't she?
I beg your pardon?
I said she was rather good.
Oh, yes, she was.
Was that the first turn?
No, that must have been the third or fourth.
Oh, I understand that this is the best music hall in London.
Yes, it is. Haven't you ever been here before?
No, I just arrived from Canada a few days ago. You know, I don't usually like music hall entertainment.
Please be quiet. I want to hear the next
Oh,
one.
I beg your pardon.
Ladies and gentlemen, with your kind attention and permission, I have the honor of presenting to you one of the most remarkable men in the world. Every day he commits to memory 50 new facts and remembers every one of them. Facts from history, facts from geography, facts from newspapers, from scientific books, millions and millions of them. Think of the strain involved by his prodigious feat.
His feet ain't half big as yours, Charlie.
I'm referring to his feats of memory. Attention, ladies and gentlemen. Ask him your questions, and he'll answer fully and freely. Mr. Memory.
Thank you. Thank you. A question, please. Ladies first.
Where's my old man been since last Saturday?
On the booze.
And with a good looker.
A serious question, please.
What won the Derby in 1921?
Mr. Jack Jones, humorist, with Steve Donahue up. Won by a length of 6-1. Second and third, Craig and Aaron and Lemonora. Am I right, sir?
Right. Who was the last British heavyweight champion of the world?
My
old woman.
It was Bob Fitzsimmons. He defeated Jim Corbett, heavyweight champion of America, at Carson City, Nevada in October 1897. He was then 34 years of age. Am I right, sir?
Right.
You know, I think I'm going to ask him a question.
Why tell me about it?
Another question, please.
How far is Winnipeg from Montreal?
A gentleman from Canada. You're welcome here, sir. Winnipeg, the third city of Canada and capital of the province of Manitoba. Distance from Montreal, 1,424 miles. Am I right, sir?
Quite right.
I've got to get out of here.
Come on, I'll help you.
Please, I've got to get out.
Take my hand.
Will you get out of my way?
Take my hand and let me clear the way for you.
Thank you.
Out of the way, coming through. Give us room. Coming through. Lady coming through. There's the door.
Hurry, please.
Coming through. through.
Who do you think you're shoving?
You lady coming through. There we are.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Don't mention it. I wanted to get out myself.
May I come home with you?
What? Did my ears deceive me, or did you say, may I come home with you?
Yes, please.
Well, it sounds like a very excellent idea, but what is the idea?
Don't ask questions. Just take me home. I'll tell you when we get there.
Well, if that's what you want, come on. There's a bus. Well, here you are. I'll turn on the light.
Not yet.
What? What's the matter?
Here. Let me turn this chair. No. You can turn on the light.
What's this all about?
Would you mind turning that mirror face to the wall?
Afraid somebody outside might see you?
Exactly.
Oh, no. You know, I haven't that bad a reputation.
I'm not worried about your reputation. Please.
Oh, no. All right. All right, you know, you don't have to go out looking for adventure. No, you carry it with you like a child playing alone. Oh, by the way, my name is Hannay. Am I allowed to know yours?
Smith.
Oh. Yes. All right. Yeah, I'll take your coat.
Thank you. You want to know more about me? What do you think I do for a living?
Actress?
Not in the way you mean.
Chorus?
No.
Sorry. Out for adventure?
That's right.
That's interesting.
Don't answer that telephone.
Why not?
Because I think it's for me.
Well, now listen, now.
Please don't answer.
All right. I'll string along.
I guess I owe you an explanation.
Well, I was hoping we'd get around to that. I suppose your name isn't really Smith.
It depends on where I am. You may call me Annabella.
Oh, Annabella Smith. A clergyman's daughter, I suppose. Hey, what makes you so nervous? Bothered by the shot in the theater?
That shot was fired at me. There were 2 men in that theater who wanted to kill me.
Oh, now, you really should be more careful about choosing your gentleman friends.
No, you don't understand.
Well, you don't make it very easy for me, now, do you? A beautiful and mysterious woman pursued by gunmen? Sounds like a spy story.
That's exactly what it is.
You're a spy?
I prefer the word agent.
For what country?
For any country that pays me.
I suppose you've come here to dig up some great big state secret.
No. As a matter of fact, I'm here to save a secret from being dug up. A very important secret of this country. Not because I love England, but because it will pay me better that way.
Thank you on behalf of the British Empire.
But this is serious. A very clever agent of a certain foreign power is on the point of obtaining a secret vital to your air ministry. I tracked 2 of his men to that music hall. Unfortunately, they recognized me. That's why they're after me now.
Have you ever heard of a thing called persecution mania?
You don't believe it?
Frankly, I don't.
Go and look down into the street, then.
What?
Go to the window. Look down into the street. You will probably see 2 men lounging around opposite the entrance to this building.
Well, all right, I'll take a look. Might as well give you a chance to prove your preposterous theory. Oh. You win.
They're there?
Yes, they're there.
I'd hoped I'd shaken them off. I'm going to tell you something which isn't very healthy for you to know. But now that they've followed me here, you're in this just as much as I am.
How do you mean?
Have you ever heard of the 39 steps?
What's that, a pub?
Never mind. The important thing is that a state secret will be taken from this country unless I stop those men.
Well, why don't you phone the police or something?
Because they wouldn't believe me any more than you did. And if they did, how long do you think it would take them to get going? Oh, no, these men act quickly. And you don't know how clever their chief is. He's clever and ruthless.
Oh, who is he? What's his name?
He has a dozen names, and he can look like 100 people. But there's one thing he can't disguise. Part of his little finger on the left hand is missing. And if ever you should meet such a man, Be very careful, my friend.
I'll remember. Meanwhile, what are you going to do?
May I stay here?
Well, you're welcome to my bed here. I'll catch a nap on the couch.
Thank you.
Now, see here. I'm going to lock you in the bedroom.
No, there's no need of that.
Oh, yes. After all, if your story is true, your safety is pretty important to England. I'm going to lock you in the bedroom. Then, if those men force their way into the apartment, they'll have to deal with me, and they won't be able to get you.
Thank you, Mr. Hanley. And I'm very tired. Do you think it would be all right if I went to the bedroom now?
Don't get up. Stay in that chair till I switch off the lights.
You've certainly changed since you came in here, Mr. Hanley.
Annabella, I'm coming!
Mr. Penny.
Annabella. Oh, you're hurt. Here, let me help you to the bed.
No. There's no time. Just hold me. They came in by the window. They couldn't open the door to get to you. But you're next.
Oh, see here, stop talking. You're too weak to talk.
No, listen. Hold me. I must tell you. A man in Scotland, in Altnashalik. Go to him and tell him.
Who is he? What's his name?
His
name, Annabella.
His name?
Hello?
Mr. Henny.
Yes?
Is Annabella dead?
Who is this?
Never mind. Is Annabella dead?
Yes, you did your work well. But you won't get away with it.
Have you called the police?
You and I both know that the police would only arrest me.
Yes. But I'd advise you to call them. If you come out without the police, we will kill you, Henny.
Who's that?
You the milkman?
I am. Well, you're up bright and early for such a fine gentleman.
Could you use a pound note?
What's the catch?
Well, I want to borrow your cap and coat. I want to dress myself up like a milkman.
What's the big idea?
Well, I want to make a getaway.
Ah, do a bunk?
Yes.
I say, what have you been up to?
I'll have to trust you. There's been a murder committed on the first floor.
By you?
No. Did you see two men hanging around across the street?
Yes?
They committed the murder.
Oh, I see. Now I suppose they're waiting there as good as gold for a copper to come and arrest them.
Yes, it's quite true. They're spies. They've murdered a woman in my flat, and now they're waiting for me.
Ah, come off it. Funny jokes at 5 a.m.
But, all right. I'll tell you the truth. Are you married?
Yes, but don't rub it in.
Well, I'm not married. I'm a bachelor.
Well, congratulations.
There's a woman living here on the first floor.
Is there now?
Yes. I paid her a call last night. I've been wanting to go home since midnight.
Well, what's preventing you?
Those men. They're her brothers. Now, do you see?
Oh, God. Why didn't you tell me before, old fellow? I only wanted to be told. Trying to kid me with a lot of talk about murders and spies. Here, put this on. Put on my little hat. There you are.
Here, take the pound.
Well, thank you, Governor. Here's my bottle. Just leave my pony and cart around the corner. So long, old sport.
Thanks again.
Roger.
Giddy up. A first-class ticket to Aberdeen, Scotland, please.
Good day, sir.
The conductor tells me this is my compartment. Is the room?
Of course. Sit down.
Thank you.
You a traveling man?
No.
I am. I travel in women's underwear. You interested?
Oh, always.
I've got a new corset I'm selling this trip. The Streamline. You know, I can never understand how people put up with the old-fashioned sort. All bones and no bed. Not mine. Put a pretty girl inside of mine, sir, and she needn't be ashamed anywhere. I say, I must be boring you. Yes, I guess I'll look at the paper.
No, you're not boring me.
I say, there's been another woman murdered in a West End flat.
What?
Woman murdered in a West End flat. Portland Mansions in Portland Place. Oh, yes, I know what that is. Yes. A well-dressed woman of about 30 with a knife in her back. Lieutenant Richard Hannay is missing. Missing. He did it all right.
What do the police say?
The police theory is that... well, if that isn't the blasted limit.
What is?
Is there no honesty in this world at all? Now, look here, sir. Look at this advertisement. Now, I ask you. The new Bodyline rubber panty corset on sale today at McPherson Brothers, 17 and 9pence. Why, they're underselling it.
Do the police say who did it?
Brazier to match 4 and 11.
Yes, that's too bad. But what about that murder you were telling me about?
Half the murder, sir. I've got to look through this paper and all the other ads. Now, let me see now here.
Where could I get a paper?
Well, we're coming into a station. Why don't you get off and buy one?
Yes, I'll do that. Pardon me. Oh, pardon me, conductor, but have I time?
What is it, sir?
I was wondering if I have time.
Conductor.
Yes, sir?
I'm from the police. As soon as the train starts again, I'll want to search every compartment.
Oh?
Yes, we're after a man named Richard Hannay, a West End murderer.
Right, sir. Now, what was it you wanted, sir?
Oh, never mind. The train's starting. It's too late now. Oh, pardon me. May I come in?
Well, I'm sure there are other compartments not in use.
Well, I'm afraid I'll have to make use of this one. And you.
I beg your pardon?
Look, I'm desperate. The police are looking for me, but I'm innocent. When they come into this compartment, you take your cue from me. You do exactly as I want you to.
I shall hand you over. That's what I shall do.
You do, and you'll die 1 second later. Darling, of course I love you. Of course I love you, darling. Kiss me, darling.
Oh, guess there's no murder in here.
You...
I'm terribly sorry. I'm sorry I had to do it. Now, look here. My name is Hannay. They're after me. But I swear I'm innocent. You've got to help me. I've got to keep free for the next few days. All right, I don't blame you for slapping me, but please listen.
You're despicable.
You've got to let me stay here. It isn't just for my sake.
Beg pardon, you two.
What is it, officer?
I'm sorry to disturb you again, but have either of you seen a man come by here the past few minutes?
This is the man you want, I think.
What?
She's joking.
But when I looked in just a moment ago...
He barged his way in here and forced me to kiss him. Told me his name is Hannay.
Oh? Is your name Hannay?
No.
It is. He just told me so. He said he's wanted for murder.
I told you I was innocent, too, didn't I? Why do you leave that out?
Your name is Hannay, then?
Of course it is.
You're under arrest, Mr. Hannay, and it's my duty to warn you that anything you say may be used against you.
Officer, may I smoke?
Go ahead.
Want one?
No, thanks.
You know I'm innocent.
I don't know anything of the sort.
No? Well, you seem to trust me.
Do I?
Yes, you haven't handcuffed me.
If I handcuffed you, then I'd be handcuffed too, and I hate handcuffs.
Oh, well, that's quite understandable.
We couldn't do anything anyway. The door's locked.
Oh, that's quite true.
What did you kill her for?
I didn't kill her.
Oh, come off it. This ain't official. I'm just curious.
Why do you think I killed her?
Oh, well, because you're in love with her.
Well, that's a strange reason for killing a girl.
Oh, maybe she was in love with you and you couldn't get rid of her.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, I thought so.
Yes, she was always pestering me. Wanted me to kiss her all the time. Tell her I loved her. You know how it is.
No, I know.
Yeah, well, I couldn't even eat a meal in peace. I couldn't take her to the theater unless we sat way in the back row. Really, she was always getting me to take her to the zoo. Now, do you realize how many lonely places there are at the zoo where a woman can trap a man?
You don't mean it.
Yes. Fact is, remember, and the night I murdered her, it was... Well, I'll tell you. That was just the last straw.
What happened?
She came to my apartment. I didn't expect her, you understand. I wanted to be alone with my chess set. But she came in. When I heard what she wanted, I couldn't stand it anymore. Everything went red before me. I was blind. I was blind with rage.
Good heavens, what did she want?
She wanted me to take her to the zoo again.
See here. Are you trying to pull my leg?
Of course I am. I told you I didn't murder her.
I'll give up.
Oh, are we coming to a station?
No. Just slowing down for the bridge.
Huh? Sure you won't join me in a cigarette?
Oh, might as well.
Here you are.
Oh, thanks. Hey, look down.
So long.
Hey, don't jump out there. You'll get killed. Don't jump.
Hold your fire, you fool.
What's that?
He's under cover. Sonny is a smart man. Probably crawling from one bush to another on the side of the hill.
Well, I was only trying to shoot when I last seen him.
Well, don't do it. I wish those other fools had stopped shooting, too. He's bound to come out in another place.
Well, still and all, sir, I don't see him.
Wait a moment. There he is.
Where?
Now, wait a moment. Don't shoot. You see, he's up on the brow of the hill, out of rifle range.
We'd best get after him.
No, wait a moment. Look. You see? There, he's gone. Down the other side of the hill.
We'd best get after him, that's what I'd say.
No, wait. I have a better plan. We'll never catch him that way. He's got too big a lead, and besides, he'll go down the hill on the other side a lot faster than we can never go up on this side.
But what are we to do?
We're going to count on the fact that he's a human being. He'll get tired. He'll get hungry. He's been running around all day, and he hasn't eaten since before he got on that train. He's going to have to sleep somewhere tonight. That's when we'll catch him.
How, sir?
You go round up the others. We're going to stop in at every farmhouse and every barn in the whole countryside tonight.
Aye. Good day, sir. Could you direct me to Altnashallock?
Aye, straight along the road and cross the loch.
Thank you.
Are you looking for work?
Yes, I'm a chauffeur.
You'll find no work in Altnashallock.
Oh, no big houses around here?
Only Sir Andrews, and he won't be wanting you. He's had the same chauffeur for 40 years.
Oh, I see. Are there no newcomers around?
Aye. There's an Englishman, a kind of professor.
Professor?
Aye. He lives at Altnashallock.
Oh, thanks. I'll try that.
You'll not try tonight. It's 14 miles.
Well, could you put me up for the night?
Free.
Oh, no, I'll pay.
Aye, then. Can you eat the herring?
I could eat half a dozen right now.
Can you sleep in a box bed?
I can try.
2 and 6.
Take it now?
Thank you. Come in.
Thank you.
Woman!
Aye? What is it?
This gentleman will stay with us till the morning. Go make up the box bed.
Very well.
Your daughter?
My wife.
No.
You'd best go in with her and see your room.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. This is your bed. Could you sleep there, do you think?
You try and stop me.
You'd be tired.
Oh, I'll say I am.
Won't you sit down, please, while I make up the bed?
Thank you. You been in these parts long?
No, I'm from Glasgow. Do you ever see it?
No.
You should see Sucky Hall Street with all its fine shops, and Argyle Street on Saturday night with the trams and the lights and the cinema palaces and the crowds. Oh, aye, and it's Saturday night tonight.
Like to be there?
Aye.
You certainly don't get all those things out here.
No.
Do you always miss them? Or just on Saturday nights?
I don't like to say.
Well, now, I've never been to Glasgow, but I've been in Edinburgh, Montreal, and London. I'll tell you all about London at supper.
My husband wouldn't approve of that, I doubt.
Why not?
Oh, he says it's best not to think of such places and all the wickedness that goes on there.
Then why not listen now? What do you want to know?
Well, is it true that all the ladies paint their toenails?
Some of them.
And the London ladies look beautiful?
Oh, they do. Yes, they do. Oh, but they wouldn't if you were beside them.
You ought not to say that.
What ought he not to say?
Oh,
I was just saying to your wife that I prefer living in the town rather than the country.
God made the country. Come, woman. Get supper for us.
more pudding, sir.
No, thank you. I've been extremely well fed.
Thank you.
You want to look at the weekly paper? It just came today.
Yes, I'd like to very much. Thank you.
You best look at it right away. I want it when I come back. I'm going to water the cattle. Woman, get the dishes done. You hear?
Hi, John.
Wouldn't you care to look at the paper?
Oh, no, thank you. I read it this afternoon.
Indeed. I'm surprised. Does your husband allow you to read the paper?
I best clear the table. You hadn't told me your name, sir.
Oh, Hammond.
It wouldn't be Honey, would it?
What made you think that?
You're greatly interested in that murder in London. You looked almost greedy reading about it, and you fit the description of the murderer.
What makes you think that he's a murderer? What makes you think that he's guilty?
Is he not?
No.
I want to believe that.
It's true.
The poor man. Everybody chasing him now. Everybody against him. If he did not commit the murder...
He didn't.
He needs a friend.
Yes, he needs someone who knows what it is to be friendless. Someone who has warm human sympathy because she has suffered herself. Because she has needed warmth and sympathy herself.
I know too well what you mean, Mr. Honey.
Hammond.
Excuse me, Hammond.
This man they're looking for, I imagine the police are combing the Scottish moors for him. I imagine they're knocking on the door of every house and asking the people if they've seen this man.
It would be lucky for him if someone misdirected them.
Yes. Someone who has sympathy.
Someone who has received sympathy from him.
We're a full 15 minutes late to bed tonight.
We are that.
We've earned twice the money that beggar paid us. Him eating, reading our paper, and keeping us up.
He was no bother, John.
Was he no? You took a fine fancy to that lollipop, woman.
No, John.
Yes, woman, I know when you're thinking sinful thoughts. And I know a sinful man when I lay my eyes on him.
Please, John, what you're saying isn't true.
Are you coming to bed now?
In a minute.
Why do you keep watching out the window?
Oh, no reason.
Just thinking your sinful thoughts.
No, John.
Well, then blow out the candle. Come to bed.
Aye, John. Mr. Honey, wake up.
What is it?
The car's coming. That'll be the police. You'd best be going.
Thank you.
Hurry up and don't let them catch you.
I'm ready. I slept in my clothes. I'll never forget you for doing this. And which way do I go?
I'll show you.
Aye. Making love behind my back.
John!
I might have known. Get out, woman.
Just a minute.
Yes, and you, sir. Get out of my house before
Aye, go.
And leave you like this?
It's your chance of liberty.
Get out, both of you.
You don't understand. Now, look here. You're all wrong about this. She was trying to help me.
Aye, to bring shame and disgrace upon the house.
She was trying to help me escape from the police.
The police?
Yes, the police. They're after me for murder.
What?
Now they're here. She only came to warn me. I told her about it this evening. Don't let them in, please. Say that I'm not here. I'll make it worth your while.
How much?
£5.
You got that much?
Yes.
Give it to me.
After they've gone.
Give it to me now, or I'll turn you over to them.
Right, here it is.
All right. Get back into the bed. Shut him in, woman. Hide him.
Do not get into bed. I do not trust him.
But he took the money.
I could not resist it. Here, let's open the window and listen.
Portland Place murder.
How should I know aught of a murder?
You didn't see anybody go by?
Well, no, I might or I might not. Is that a reward?
Probably there is, yes.
Right. He's asking if there's a reward for you if you get catched.
How much is it?
Oh, blast him.
£300.
He'll argue a bit before he lets him in.
That's little enough for catching a murder.
Now's your time.
All right, show me the way.
Here. Oh, your jacket's terrible light-colored. I'm afraid they'll see you. Here, you'd best take this black one.
Is this your husband's coat?
Aye, his best Sunday coat. But never mind. They mustn't see you.
But what will happen to you?
Well, I'll say I couldn't have stopped you.
He'll not. He'll treat you.
Oh, he'll pray at me. No more. Go now.
What's your name?
Annie.
Goodbye, Annie. Bless you all the days of your life for this.
Dogs will get him, sir. They've got his scent.
Yes, I know, but they're going to lose it. Sammy is no fool. He'll go into the lock. Then what good will the dogs be?
That farmer said Hannay was inquiring about the professor out in the cellar.
Well, if we lose him, we'll go straight to the professor's cottage.
Hurry. Oh, please, hurry.
How do you do?
You're the professor.
Yes?
Let me in quick.
I don't believe I will. Who are you?
You wouldn't know my name, but I come from Annabella Smith.
Oh. Come in.
Thank you.
Have a chair.
Thank you.
Well, sir, what about our mutual friend, Annabella Smith?
She's been murdered.
Murdered? I'm so sorry, but then in our line of work... Tell me about it.
Haven't you read the Portland Mansions affair?
So that was Annabella. And the man?
I was the man.
Excuse me, someone at the door. Someone not so impetuous as to pound as you did. I suggest that you sit quietly in the far corner so that you'll not be seen from the door. Ready?
Yes.
Gentlemen?
We're the police. Have you seen any strangers about this morning?
This morning? No.
You haven't seen any suspicious-looking bodies?
No.
No one called at the house?
No.
No one looking for a job?
No one at all.
Oh, get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Sir. We're looking for a murderer. We thought he might come here. He mentioned your place, said he might look for a job here.
Then if he's a very wise murderer, he won't come near my house. I'll let you know if he does.
Thank you, sir.
Good day. Well, Mr. Hannay, I suppose I can call you by your right name now. I think the police will bother you no longer.
I want to thank you very much, sir.
Not at all. Now, tell me more about Annabella. Why did she send you to me?
I wasn't even sure it was you. I just knew that it was somebody in out in the Charlotte. She was coming here about some air ministry secret. She said it would be smuggled out of the country unless we could see someone in Alta Charlotte first. Some foreign agent is going to take the secret out of the country unless we can stop him.
Did she tell you what the foreign agent looked like?
No. She... Oh, yes. There was one thing. Part of his little finger's missing.
Which one?
Oh, I believe she said it was his right hand.
Are you sure it isn't the left hand?
No, I'm not sure. Why do you ask?
Because it is the left hand. You see?
You?
Yes, Mr. Hannay. I'm afraid I've been guilty of leading you down the garden path. Or is it up? I never can remember.
Why didn't you turn me over to the police?
Because you would tell your story. They wouldn't believe it, I suppose, but they might check it. They just might find that you were telling the truth. That would be very embarrassing to me.
What are you going to do with me?
That's just the point. What am I going to do with you?
You're an engaging fellow, Mr. Hannay. I'd hate to hurt you, but... You see, I'm just about to convey some very vital information out of the country.
Then Annabella was right.
Oh, yes, Annabella was an excellent secret agent. I often tried to get her to work with me, but she wanted too much money. Well, that's neither here nor there. The question is still, what am I going to do with you? And I'm afraid I know the answer.
All right, let's have it.
I don't think this revolver could be traced to me.
You're going to shoot me?
I'm afraid there's no alternative, Mr. Hannay.
All right.
Don't move. What a pity. He was such a young man.
From Studio One, Radio Celebrated Playhouse of Dramatic Entertainment, you are hearing Glenn Ford, starring in The 39 Steps, a version for listening by Robert Senadella of the John Buchan novel. Studio One will resume after the customary pause for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. From Studio One, we continue tonight's full-hour dramatic entertainment. Mr. Glenn Ford stars in Fletcher Markle's production of The 39 Steps.
Woman, I cannot find my hymn book.
Your hymn book? Where did you leave it?
In the breast pocket of my overcoat. It was hanging here.
John, I'm afraid I gave your coat to that gentleman who was staying here that night.
That murderer? You little fool!
Cigarette cases, yes, Sheriff, but I've never seen it happen to a hymn book before.
I've never encountered such a peculiar set of events in all my years as sheriff of Outnishallock.
Oh, that's not surprising, you know.
The bullet this professor fired stuck in the hymn book, eh?
Yes.
Well, I'm not surprised, Mr. Hannay. Some of these hymns are terrible hard to get through. I've stuck at them myself before now.
Hymns that have helped me, eh?
That's a good one, Mr. Hannay, that's fine. And to think that I've had drinks with that professor, accepted his hospitality. Well, it's a lesson to us all. And how did you escape?
Well, of course, he thought I was dead, and while I was still unconscious, he dragged me into the dressing room. When I came to, I got out of the window and came here. Now, Sheriff, I don't want to hurry you or anything, but oughtn't you to be taking some sort of action? This is serious, you know.
I know.
Well, I mean, if it weren't, I'd never put myself in your hands with a murder charge hanging over me.
Never heed the murder, Mr. Hannay. I don't doubt you'll be able to convince Scotland Yard of your innocence as you've convinced me. I've sent for someone at the police station next door to come and take your statement down.
Thank you.
Were you wishing to see me, Sheriff?
Yes, indeed I was. Do you think I enjoy playing for time with a murderer?
Murderer?
Certainly. Hannay, you're under arrest on charge of willful murder of a woman unknown in Portland Mansions, London, Tuesday last. Inspector, take him over to the county jail.
Aye. But, Sheriff, you heard my story. You believed it.
Come along now.
It's true, every word of it.
Hannay, we're not so daft in Scotland as smart Londoners may think. Do you think I believed your cock and bull story about the professor? Where's my best friend?
But if the professor didn't shoot me, where did that bullet come from?
That's easy. From one of your pursuers on the moor. Isn't that so, Inspector?
Aye, that's so, sir. I had a shot at him myself.
I demand that you allow me to telephone the High Commissioner for Canada.
A trunk call for a murderer? Too expensive.
Come along now.
Take your hands off me.
Hey, stop him. Oh, the idiot! Out the window! After him!
Excuse me.
Who are you? Get out of this car.
Oh, don't tell me it's you again, that stupid girl on the train.
Henny, the murderer.
Listen. They're after me again. You've got to believe me this time. I didn't do it. Now, you get that through your head, can't you? I didn't do it. And unless I'm kept from the police, a vital secret of this country will be smuggled to a foreign power. Now, start this car and drive me to safety.
I will not.
All right, then I will. Now, let me get in that driver's seat.
No! Help!
Move over. Move
Help! Help! Help!
What is it, miss?
And this man is a murderer. This is Richard Hannay.
Oh, Hannay. Raise your hand.
Oh, you little fool. I suppose you think you've been clever.
Are you an officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, will you please tell your prisoner not to insult me?
You try and stop me.
That's enough, Hannay. You come along with me.
Couldn't you realize that I was speaking the truth in that railway carriage and just now?
I prefer not to talk to you.
All right. But in all frankness, will you put a call through to the High Commissioner for Canada in London and tell him that an enormously important secret...
do now,
An
Hannay.
enormously important secret is being taken out of this country by a foreign agent. Has that penetrated?
Right to the funny bone.
Haven't you any sense at all? Put that call through and refer them to me. Will you do this?
No. Good night.
Beg pardon, miss. I'd like you to come, too.
Whatever for?
To identify the prisoner formally. I'll take you both to the police station in my car, then I'll drive you back here, miss.
Oh, well, all right, if it's absolutely necessary. Let's get it over with. That's the police station on the corner. You're running past it, officer. Tell the driver.
The driver knows where he's going.
We're not exactly going to the police station, miss.
Well, then where are we going?
Inverary.
Inverary?
Yes, this man is to be questioned by the sheriff principal.
Well, how far is it to Inverary?
40 miles.
Keep quiet, her name.
I'm sorry.
But isn't the man going the wrong way? Surely Inverary is to the left.
There's a bridge fallen down on that road, miss.
You say you're a policeman. Might I see your badge?
You shut your mouth.
No, I won't. I want to make a bet with you. I'll bet you haven't got a badge. And I lay you 100 to 1 that the man you're taking us to has the top joint of his little finger missing. What about it?
You shut your mouth.
Ha! I win.
Hello? Yes, this is the professor. Yes? You say Hobbs has him. Good. You're sure you saw him taken yourself? Fine. With a girl? Oh, dear me, that's too bad. Why? Well, you great booby, simply because I don't too much mind killing Hannay again, so to speak. But I shall regret very much disposing of an innocent girl.
Go ahead. Tell the young lady who your boss really is.
You shut your mouth.
Yes, I wish he would, too. And, officer, if he doesn't, I hope you gag him.
All right.
I think he's off his head.
All right.
Oh, blast it.
What are we stopping for, driver?
The flock of sheep. They're all over the road.
Yes, we never get through.
Well, can't we go back the other way?
No, I told you the bridge is down.
I'll have to get out and scare them off the road.
There are too many of them. I'll help you.
What about Henny?
Oh, don't mind me.
I'll fix Hannay. Miss, how'd you like to be a special constable?
What do you mean?
Handcuffs.
Don't put those things on me. What are you doing?
Come on, Hannay, hold out your wrist.
I suppose I must.
No.
There we are. Now, miss, as long as you stay, he stays. Come on, Bradfield.
Yes.
Well, how do you like being handcuffed to me?
I'll thank you not to talk to me.
You don't think I intend to stay here, do you?
Well, you can't get away as long as we're handcuffed.
Oh, no?
Help!
All right. I'm going to keep my hand over your mouth, and you may as well not struggle. We're going to run for it. All right, let's go. Come on, run. Run! I think we got away all right.
Well, what chance have you got tied to me?
Oh, keep that question for your husband.
Now, those policemen will get you as soon as it's daylight.
They're not policemen.
Oh, and when did you find that out?
Well, you found it out yourself. I wouldn't have known that was the wrong road. They were taking us to their boss, and heaven help you or me if they ever catch either of us again.
Still sticking to your penny novelette spy story.
Oh, no. There are 20 million women on this island, and I've got to be handcuffed to you. Now, look here, I'm telling you the truth. I told it to you once on the train and again this evening. Now I'm telling you for the third time.
There's a dangerous conspiracy against England, and we are the only people who can stop it.
Please don't tell me that stupid lie ever again.
All right. Look, I'm just a plain common murderer who stabbed an innocent, defenseless woman in the back not 4 days ago. Now, how do you like that story? I don't know how innocent you may be, but you're a woman, and you're defenseless, and you're alone on a desolate moor in the dark, handcuffed to a murderer who'd stop at nothing to get you off his hands. Now, if that's the situation you prefer, my lovely, have it, and welcome.
I'm not afraid of you.
For all you know, I may murder one woman a week. So listen to a bit of advice. From now on, do every single thing I tell you to do, and you do it quick.
You big bully.
You know, I like your pluck, but I don't like you much. Come on, there's an inn.
Well, what of it?
We're going in there.
Well, what for?
That's my business.
But we're handcuffed.
Come on, shut up, will you? Now, remember what I said. You backed me up in every single thing I say or do. Now, has that penetrated your pretty head?
Only just.
All right. Come on now, pull yourself together. Put your hand in my pocket. Come on, put it here so they won't see the handcuffs. Come on. All right. Hello?
Hello. Oh, come in, Mom. Come in, sir. My. The young lady's terrible wet.
Oh, we had an accident with our car a few miles back.
Oh, then you'll be wanting to stay the night?
Yes.
We've just the one room left with the one bed in it. But you'll not mind that.
Oh, no. Quite the reverse.
Your man and wife, I suppose.
Oh, yes. Aren't we, dear?
James!
Hey, I'm coming.
James, here's a young couple wants to register.
Hey, well, here's the book.
I'll away up and light the fire for you.
Will you sign the book, sir?
Oh, innkeeper.
Aye, sir.
Could you get us a large whiskey and soda and a few sandwiches?
And a glass of milk, please.
Oh, yes, a glass of milk.
Aye, sir. I'll do that while you're signing the book.
Good, we got rid of him. I can't write with my left hand, my dear. You take the pen. Come on, go on, take it. The sooner you get used to writing your new name, the better.
Really?
Mr. and Mrs. Henry Hopkinson, the Hollyhocks, Hammersmith.
I tell you, I can't stand this any longer. I'm going downstairs to tell the whole story.
Do you think you can drag me with you?
Oh.
Do you want me to hang for a murder I never committed?
Well, so long as they hang you, I really don't care whether you did it or not.
Can I come in,
Come in. Yes, we were just getting warm here before the fire.
I can see that. I thought you might like this hot water bottle to your bed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You'd like a hot water bottle, wouldn't you, my sweet?
Yes, darling.
Well, good night.
Oh, I say, please don't go.
Why not? Is there anything wrong?
You've got to help me.
What's the matter?
Well, she wants to tell you something, that's all. Now, we're a runaway couple.
Oh, I knew it all the time. You're so much in love. I could see it. Are they after you?
Yes. But you won't give us away, will you?
Of course not. A good night to you both. You'll not be disturbed.
You try anything like that again and you'll get hurt.
All right, you one. Don't rub it in. No, can't we get these handcuffs off?
I want to very much. In the morning.
Well, why not now?
Because I'm sleepy.
Well, I'm not.
If we got these handcuffs off, I'd have to stay up all night watching you.
Would that be so terrible?
No, I like watching you. If only I weren't so sleepy. Come along, I'm going to bed.
Well, it's going to be a little difficult, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I'll stretch out.
Well, I'm going to sit up.
Well, you'll have to sit on the side of the bed. Come along. Come on here. We'll both be comfortable.
You're really most inconsiderate.
What are you doing with that hairpin?
Well, I've heard that you can unlock handcuffs with a hairpin.
You're welcome to try.
Don't let me disturb you. Go right off to sleep.
Good night.
Hello?
I'm coming. What is it?
This is a hotel.
Aye.
I suppose you get a few old people this time of the year.
Aye.
You didn't happen to have anyone tonight, did you?
Aye.
They weren't by any chance a young couple, were they?
Them? Two old maids they was, and stale, too.
Could we have a couple of whiskeys and soda?
I'll fetch it from the back room.
Have you got a public telephone?
Right there, behind you.
Thank you. Out Shallock 532.
Queer place, this.
Hello. Hello, Professor Jordan. No, it hasn't gone well. The girl handed him over to us thinking we were detectives. We had to take her as well because he told her everything. They got away. Yes, I see. You're going where? Well, good luck, Professor. Goodbye.
What now?
The professor's going to clear out. It's too dangerous with Hannay on the loose. He's warning the whole 39 steps.
You'll be able to get the secret out of England.
Yes. He's picking up our friend at the London Palladium tomorrow. Everything's going to be all right. Pamela. Good Lord, she's gone.
No, I haven't gone. I'm over here by the fireplace.
What's the idea? How did we get out of these handcuffs?
I told you I'd open them with my hairpin.
Why didn't you run away?
I did, but just as I was going, I discovered you were speaking the truth. So I decided to stick with you.
Well, may I ask what earthquake caused your brain to work at last?
When I left the room and went out on the landing last night, those two men were downstairs and I heard them phoning.
What did they say?
A lot of stuff about the 39 steps. Somebody's going to warn them. How can you warn steps?
Go on.
Well, somebody called the professor as taking the secret out of London. He's picking up someone at the London Palladium today.
The London Palladium? I don't know what a theater has to do with it, but come on, we're going to London.
Quite right, madam. It's true, the Air Ministry has a new thing that quite a lot of people are interested in.
Well, then, please.
But they're positive that no papers are missing about it that would be of any use at all to a spy.
But I tell you, I'm quite certain. There's a man leaving the country tonight with something.
Since you telephoned from Scotland this morning, we've made the most extensive inquiries.
Well, it's obvious that I'm wasting my time here.
Just a moment, please, miss. There is one thing you haven't told us. Where's Richard Hannay?
I haven't the faintest idea.
I see. Well, you're in the telephone book, aren't you?
Yes.
If anything crops up, we'll give you a ring.
Thank you. Goodbye, Commissioner.
Goodbye. Henry, get a couple of men and follow that girl. She'll lead us to Hannay, all right.
I'm glad you've come. Listen, the professor's in that box up there.
I've been to Scotland Yard. They refuse to do anything. They say there are no papers missing.
Wait a minute. Listen, I've heard that tune before. The music hall. Annabella.
Ladies and gentlemen, with your kind attention and permission, I have the honor of presenting to you one of the most remarkable men in the world. Every day he commits to memory 50 new facts and remembers every one of them.
The same little man. I've got it. All the information is inside Mr. Memory's head.
I don't understand.
Don't you see? The papers were borrowed, memorized by Mr. Memory, and then replaced.
Yes.
Mr. Hannay.
Thank you.
Police. Come along.
The police. Well, listen. There's something you ought to know.
Come quietly.
Oh, yes, but that man on the stage.
Look here, old man. You don't want to cause trouble and spoil other people's entertainment, do you? Now then,
One
come
at a
quietly.
time, please. One at a time. One question, please.
Now, wait a minute, officer. Mr. Memory. What are the 39 steps? Come on, answer up. What are the 39 steps?
The 39 steps.
Answer me. What are the 39 steps?
The 39 steps is the name of an organization of spies collecting information on behalf of the Foreign Office of...
The professor. It was the professor fired that shot. Come on.
We got the man who shot him, sir.
Good. All right, Mr. Hannay. What was it you wanted to ask him?
Mr. Memory, what was the secret formula the professor had you memorize?
Will it be all right, me telling you, sir?
Yes, the professor sent me. I'm the man you're to tell it to.
Big job to learn it. Biggest job I ever tackled. Don't want to throw it away.
It will be quite all right.
The first feature of the new engines, its greatly increased ratio of compression, represented by R1 minus 1 over R to the power of gamma. Angle of 45 degrees. Dimensions of cylinders as follows. This device renders the engine completely silent. Am I right, sir?
Quite right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad.
Tickets, please.
I have it right here. See,
Well,
here we are.
Going to Scotland, eh?
Yes.
Holiday?
No.
Live there?
Unfortunately.
Well, have a good trip, miss.
Thank you.
The diner will be open in another hour.
Oh, I don't believe I want your dinner.
Ticket, please.
Well, I just gave my ticket. Richard.
May I sit down?
Well, of course. What are you doing on this train?
I'm going back to Scotland.
Holiday?
No.
Well, you certainly don't live there.
No.
Richard Hannay, we're not starting this all over again. They're not after you again.
No. No, this time I'm not being pursued.
Well, what then?
This time I'm doing the pursuing. Come here.
Oh, Richard.
I think I'm going to like Scotland this time.
Studio One at CBS, you have just heard Mr. Glenn Ford, starring in Fletcher Markle's production of The 39 Steps by John Buchan. Another of the world's great stories from radio's celebrated playhouse of dramatic entertainment. Tonight's script was prepared by Robert Sanadella, and the original musical score was composed by Lana Domian and conducted by Alexander Semler. Now again, Mr. Markle.
May a producer identify the principals in tonight's cast? In the foreground,
Richard Hannay
was played, of course, by Mr. Ford, who is currently starred in Columbia Pictures film comedy The Mating of Millie.
Pamela?
Was played by Kathleen Cordell.
Annabella?
Was Mercedes McCambridge.
The crofter.
Was played by Everett Sloan.
The professor.
Was John Stanley.
Arnie?
Was Miriam Wolfe.
Mr. Memory.
Was Hedley Rennie.
Mr. Hobbs.
Was played by Lauren Gilbert. Frantically active in the supporting cast were Robert Dryden, Neil Fitzgerald, John Merlin, Brainerd Duffield, Alan Devitt, Ivor Francis, Mary Michael, and Louis Quinn. The music hall advertisements were performed by Miss Jean Tye. Next week from Studio One, the return to our microphones of a great American novelist and a great American actor. They've been a very fortunate combination before on this series, and we're sure they will be again. Our story is Sinclair Lewis's provocative portrait of a middle-class businessman whose name was Babbitt. And our star is the magnificent and quite irreplaceable Mr. Walter Houston. We hope you'll be with us. And now until next week, until Walter Houston starring in Babbitt by Sinclair Lewis, this is Fletcher Markle with a good night and thank you from all of us in Studio One.
Program you won't want to miss. That's Report Card, the next production of the famed CBS documentary unit. Tomorrow night over many of these stations from 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Columbia presents a one-hour inquiry into the state of our nation's schools. Be sure to hear Report Card. This is Lee Vines, and this is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week. The Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is Chesterton Radio, your home for podcasts of works by G.K. Chesterton, plus drama, comedy, mystery, science fiction, big bands, and much more. The soundtrack to your Chesterton day at chestertonradio.com.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, your producer of a special series of broadcasts presented by the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon, the Mercury Summer Theater of the Air.
Tonight and every Friday night, Blended Splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon presents you with a front row seat at one of the greatest plays ever produced. And now is America's most famous producer, writer, director, Orson Welles.
Our story tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is an original for radio by that most original of radio writers, Miss Lucille Fletcher. Its title, The Search for Henri Lefebvre. Mercedes McCambridge will be heard as Madame Lefebvre, and so that our story may move without interruption, there'll be no between-acts intermission on this broadcast, our sponsors having very kindly omitted their usual commercial message at that time. So right now, before we get started, let's give Jim Amici a chance to say his say about
Blended Splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon. Friends, as you relax in the comfort of the summer evening to enjoy Mr. Wells' exciting radio drama, I hope that right beside you, on chair, arm, or table, is a tall, frosted, foam-capped glass of Pabst Blue Ribbon. Believe me, the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon are doing their best these thirsty days and nights to supply your dealer, and thus supply you, with all this truly great beer you'd like. Occasionally, conditions make this pretty difficult, but of this you can be sure. Every bottle you do get will be, as always, the happy result of blending never less than 33 fine brews into one great beer. As always, 33 fine brews blend their individual taste tones to give you that splendid flavor. Not too light, not too heavy, but fresh, clean, sparkling, with the real beer taste coming through just the way you like it. So please keep right on asking for it. It's sure worth asking for. Blended, Splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon. And now, Orson Welles and his own Mercury production of The Search for Henri Lefebvre.
I had just set down the last note on paper. You know what it is to write a piece. The agony, the drudgery, the exultation. To wrest the thought out of the drab days of rain. To hear music in one's head, while outside the drizzle patters down and the heads of the mountains are shrouded in mist. And then, one morning it comes. It is spring in the branches outside the window. The mountains glitter. The air is blue and bright. And the melody comes into your heart and nestles close, as though it had always been there. A fever consumes you. Hours melt away at the piano. Time, people mean nothing. The world revolves around this rocking song, this tender magic. There are no terrors, save to break the spell. So it was with this piece. I had just set down the last note on paper. I was happy and weary and full of peace. I lay down on the sofa to relax before Miss Warren brought in my supper. There is a radio near the couch. That night, I turned it on. Horror crawls upon me sometimes out of the shadows, like an animal thing. It grimaces at me from the corner of my room. But this time it was upon me. It was in my brain. For that music on the radio, playing now, was the music I had just set down on paper. Miss Warren! Miss Warren! Miss Warren,
Chesterton.
Come here, listen to this thing. You hear it, don't you? That is real music playing.
Yes, sir. The radio's playing real
It
music.
is not an illusion. An hallucination of some kind in my own brain.
Oh, of course it's real music. And very pretty, too.
Pretty?
Oh, you don't like it? We'll turn it off.
No, leave it alone. Listen to it. Sit there beside the radio. I'll get it for you.
What, sir?
My score. Here, look at it. Note for note, even as they play.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Flynn. I can't read music. I don't understand.
Perhaps someone in this building has heard me playing, but... No, the orchestration is the same. The orchestration is a secret, quiet thing that one does alone. Perhaps they've stolen the score or someone has copied it. But I only finished it this afternoon. It has been here in this drawer and on the piano. Unless someone else. There is someone else. Someone like me with my brain, my soul, my genius, a kind of double.
It's over now, sir. Do you want me to turn it off?
No. See what they announce. See what they dare to say.
You have been listening to the Elegy for Orchestra, Opus 42, by Henri Lefebvre. This concludes...
Henri Lefebvre. Henri Lefebvre. Henri Lefebvre. After she left, I sat there staring at the freshly written pages. My brain was reeling. It was my music, every little note, every turn of phrase. The silent radio faced me like a mocking, sardonic sphinx.
Adolphus, my good fellow.
Oh, Picard. Excuse me, old friend. Miss Warren, did you call the broadcasting station?
Yes, sir.
And what did they say?
Calm yourself,
what
my dear
did they say, Miss
said...
Warren?
Oh, Mr. Picard, I'm afraid.
They said, Adolphus, that it was composed by this Henri Lefebvre. An old piece. He wrote it nearly 15 years ago.
15 years ago, but I finished it today. If I had remembered it, Picard, even in my own subconscious, it would have flowed out like a dream, but I had to struggle. Look at these erasures and these cuts, this coda.
And you say it was exactly this way on the radio?
Exactly, as though they had copied out the parts in the twinkling of an eye, and an orchestra was reading my score.
Very strange.
The man either stole my piece somehow, or... Well, there's some terrible coincidence, some simultaneous crooked streak of identical inspiration that leaped across the world.
Things don't happen.
15 years ago, they said. 15 years ago, he set it down. And finally, like a wave traveling slowly across a boundless ocean, it came to me.
Adolphus.
Who is this Henri Lefebvre?
He was a rather famous composer.
But what's happened to him? Is he still alive?
I don't know, Adolphus. I'm not a musician.
But could you find out for me soon?
I suppose I could, but do you really think it wise? What good would it do you to see this man, this perfect stranger?
I must confront him, do you hear? There is some horrible linkage between this man and myself, some string vibrating in his brain, which has caused a like vibration in my own. I must find him. I must somehow break the spell.
And supposing this Henri Lefebvre is dead?
Dead or alive, I must find him. I must find him, Picard. I must find him.
Henri Lefebvre, born 1885, Rouen, France. Educated at the École Normale. Fellowship student in composition, the Paris Conservatoire. Won Prix de Rome, 1908. Do you want me to go on, Mr. Flynn?
No, Miss Warren. These dictionaries tell you nothing. They make everything smell of dust. Dust and corruption.
Adolphus.
Oh, Picard.
I have a letter from his publishers. He's still alive.
Thank God.
But there's some mystery about him. They wouldn't give me his present address.
What do you mean?
They say they haven't heard from him in 10 years. His musical output has ceased. He submits nothing, doesn't answer their letters.
Then how do they know he's still alive?
Well, they hear occasionally from Madame Lefebvre.
Madame Lefebvre?
He has a wife who lives in Rouen.
Madame Lefebvre. Rouen. Word came at last from the Red Cross.
Home of Henri Lefebvre in Rouen, destroyed by bombs. Whereabouts of composer and Madame Lefebvre, unknown.
He's alive, I tell you, he's alive.
Oh, what Adolphus?
If they were dead, I would not feel it. I would be free. But I cannot take up my pen. I cannot write. I cannot even think one thought without wondering whether it may not already be his.
How can you think such things, Adolphus? This poor, hounded, homeless man is probably ill, old, dying.
Even dying, he's reached out a hand to clutch away my genius. Picard, was I ever lazy? My musical outfit has been enormous. Symphonies, operas, tone poems, songs. Now what do I do all day long? I stand at my window and stare out at the mountains. And at night, I'm tortured by visions. Nightmares of crooked foreign streets and church steeples and bells run by clockwork, the bells are tolling the hours. I dream of rooms, dark, ugly little rooms, and a little girl. Yes, a little girl with long, honey-colored hair who cries and cries.
You have been reading too much, Adolphus. Your brain is tired.
No, don't you understand? These streets, these rooms, that little girl, it is his life of which I am dreaming. It is Rouen. You think me mad, don't you, Picard?
Mr. Picard?
Yes?
There's a lady downstairs to see Mr. Flynn.
Lady?
She says she heard that Mr. Flynn was making some inquiries about her husband.
Madame Lefebvre.
Adolphus.
Madame Lefebvre, bring her up. Bring her up at once. I stood quite motionless in the center of the room. A woman dressed in black confronted me across the waste of polished floor. She was thin, middle-aged, a little stooped. Her pale eyes looked washed out with crying. Yet there was another look in them. A look of some drowned and monstrous terror.
I am Cécile Lefebvre. I have heard that you are searching for my husband.
Yes, madame.
Why do you wish to see him?
Why do I wish to see him? You have not heard of my strange predicament, madame. And what of your husband?
My husband remained in Switzerland.
Switzerland?
He has lived there for many years.
But why? I thought they said your home was in Rouen.
Rouen was my home. My husband and I have been estranged for the last 10 years.
Oh. You've not seen him for 10 years. Do you know his Opus 42, his Elegy for Orchestra?
I do.
When did he write it, please?
About 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Then you would know the music when you see it. Is this the piece, madame?
Yes.
I wrote this music, madame, a month ago, out of my own head.
Impossible, monsieur.
Impossible, but I tell you, it is so.
But how could this be? This is my husband. I remember the night he wrote it. A hot midsummer night. The windows were open. We could hear the bells of Rouen ringing the hour. He could not sleep. Our little daughter had been crying.
Your little daughter?
He rose from his bed saying that his head ached. A little while later, I heard the piano begin to play softly. I called down to him and warned him not to waken Louise.
Louise?
Our little daughter, who had been crying.
Yes.
Then I fell asleep. Next morning when I woke up, the bed was empty. He was downstairs at the piano writing out the final chords.
Go on.
He said it was her piece. It belonged to Louise. And that he had been thinking of her crying all the time he set it down. It was as though all the sadness that was in his love for her had gone into that melody.
Sadness, but I still don't understand. I wrote this music out of beauty, and wind and birdsong and joy.
My husband used to say this piece held in its heart all the horror of life.
Horror?
He could never understand why it was so popular. He did not want to publish it. He hid it away, saying it was like a premonition, that it had come to him from some other world, like a hideous omen from another world. And he was right, monsieur.
How do you mean?
Our little daughter, Louise. She died a little while later.
Madame Lefebvre.
Yes, monsieur. I beg your pardon for crying.
I do not want to see your husband or hear this music ever again. My search is ended. Do you believe in ghosts, madame?
No. I have been through too much to believe in poor, sad ghosts.
Oh, but I do. I believe that neither your husband nor myself wrote that piece. There is some further horror. Some demon force at work in this music. It captured him. It has captured me.
I do not know. My husband was always a wretched, melancholy man.
Tell me, Madame Lefebvre, did your husband write any music after he wrote this piece?
Not much more.
You mean it wrecked his brain as it has wrecked mine, leaving him without inspiration?
No, it was not that. He continued to write. He still writes, but nothing he has written for 10 years has had any meaning.
What do you mean?
Mr. Flynn, have you not already guessed the truth? My husband has gone mad. He has been mad for the last 10 years, shut up in an asylum in Switzerland.
Oh.
I have told this to very few people. It is a form of horrible neurosis. Work neurosis, the doctors call it. He seems to have lost his heart. The events of his past life are meaningless to him. He has forgotten Rouen. He has forgotten me. He has forgotten our little dead Louise.
Oh, terrible.
Now he sits in a bare room and writes music all day long. He has become a slave, a machine. They tell me that his shelf is packed with scores, but all of them are only an endless jumble of notes such as a child might scrawl across a paper.
And it was the music. The ghost music that did this.
Who knows? Terrible things happen. The mind snaps.
Terrible.
If I told you I should betray my husband, I should tell you something which has never passed my lips till now.
But you must tell me. Do you not see how vitally important it is to me? I am linked somehow with your husband. And perhaps I, too, am destined to go mad.
No, monsieur, you must not think such things.
There were the seeds of madness in this thing, even from the beginning. There was something uncanny. Why should that radio play that music just after I had finished the piece? Why should you, a perfect stranger, have come here and found me?
Mr. Flynn, believe me, people do not go mad so easily. To be destroyed as my husband was destroyed, one must have deep sadnesses and love. One must have human ties, a wife, a beautiful little child. You have no such ties, have you?
No, I have no ties. I have no ties.
My husband went mad because he loved too much. When our little Louise died, he thought that he had killed her. She died of simple pneumonia, but he could never understand that. He became insane with grief. He thought he was her murderer. Don't you see, Mr. Flynn, you who live here alone, whose life is so quiet.
Madame Lefebvre.
I beg your pardon?
I have seen you before, Madame Lefebvre. I have met you somewhere. I have heard your story. You have come here before.
No, I have never come here before.
Then why should your face seem so suddenly familiar and your words? There's something uncanny about this thing, Madame. For a moment, I thought I knew.
You knew what?
I thought I knew you and your husband and Louise. Louise. I thought I had I'd lived. Maybe it was only one of my nightmares, but somehow...
Yes, I try to remember.
Remember.
The little house in Rouen, the stone house, the tree in the garden, the coffee on Sunday afternoons, the Bechstein piano by the window, the bedroom with the calico curtains, the little
doll carriage underneath the stairs. Louise's doll carriage. Louise.
Paris.
What have they done to her? They've taken her away and I killed her. Her little doll carriage waits at the bottom of the stairs. But she'll never come back. Never come back.
No. She has been dead for 10 years. You must not think of her anymore. No. You are getting better now. Dr. Picard says you are getting well.
Doctor Picard.
Your doctor, darling.
What are you talking about? I am no doctor.
Don't you see, my darling, your long search is over.
No.
You are Henri Lefebvre. And your own music has come back to you at last. And little by little it will all come back. Your memories, your genius. You will be able to go out into the world again.
I am Henri Lefebvre.
Yes, darling.
It's the little old madman. No. I locked up in the walls of a lunatic asylum for 10 years, writing a jumble of notes like a little child. Then, who is Adolphus Flynn?
A name you made up, my darling, a poor mad name.
My symphonies are rubbish, you say. My adoring public are only shadows running across the walls. And these mountains beyond my window, these mountains. You are lying to me! I tell you my name is Adolphus Flynn!
Look, Harry, look! This room, these bare white walls, these bars across the window, this door one cannot open from the inside. For 10 years, aren't we? For 10 years I have waited for a glimmer to come, for some little memory like that music. For 10 years I have prayed for you every day.
For 10 years? That's what I said here. I do not believe it.
Dr. Picard!
Henri, my dear fellow.
You call me Henri, too?
I cannot tell you how happy I am, Madame Lefebvre. The experiment has worked beyond our fondest hope.
Picard. Am I Henri Lefebvre?
Yes.
I have been mad for 10 years. You deceived me for 10 years.
Not deceived you, my dear fellow. We only humored your whims, hoping that you'd snap back someday. It was your whim to think that you were a composer named Adolphus Flynn. Your whim to sign your name to all these scores. Your whim to live utterly alone and work all day and half the night. You were quite happy until one day a little piece you'd composed for your daughter long ago came back into your mind. Memory began again. You began the search for your lost self. Naturally, after 10 years, one cannot be cured overnight. But you will see, in a few months, we may hope for something quite remarkable. Monsieur and Madame Lefebvre.
In a few months, I would be able to go back. I would take up the threads of my old life as Henri Lefebvre. I'm still here in this room, with its bare white walls and its door that locks from the outside. I'm still here. Although I know now for sure that that my name is Henri Lefebvre. The sadness is in my heart. An unutterable sadness and pain that I can never conquer. Rouen has come back. The stone house. The little doll carriage underneath the stairs. And my arms ache with longing for a little dead child. With long, honey-colored hair. There is no music in me now. No music save that one tune, which sings in my head all day long. My song for Louise. If I could only get it out of my mind, I might be able to work again. I might be happy. As I once was happy. I might look out of my window and find a symphony and a sunset on the mountains. That is why I will not go back. I will not leave this room. I will not leave this home until I find him again. Until I find Adolphus Flynn.
You've just heard Orson Welles' Mercury production of The Search for Henri Lefebvre, a radio play by Lucille Fletcher. Mr. Wells will be back in just a few seconds to tell you about next week's offering of the Mercury Summer Theater. But first, a few words from our sponsors on a very important subject. The makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon are holding their prices at the levels established by OPA last month. Also, ever since government price control ended, they have urgently counseled each household distributor of Pabst Blue Ribbon throughout the country to do likewise. Further, the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon strongly urge beer retailers all over the country to do the same. For we believe it's up to all of us to do our utmost in the battle against inflation. And now, Mr. Wells.
Well, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing you the first radio show we ever put on the air for CBS. We haven't done it since. We look back at it fondly. We hope our memories aren't mistaken. We hope you'll enjoy it. It's a great favorite of everybody's childhood, and I don't think anybody ever outgrows it. The Great Tale of Adventure by Robert Louis Stevenson, Treasure Island. So join us next week, please. Same time, same station. Until then, speaking for my sponsors, the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer, and for the whole Mercury Theater, including as usual Maestro Bernard Herrmann, who was responsible as usual for the music on tonight's show, and speaking for Mercedes McCambridge, who was responsible for a very fine performance of Madame Lefebvre. For the whole gang, I remain as always, obediently yours.
This program came to you through the courtesy of the Pabst Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, makers of blended, splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
what evil lurks in the hearts of men. The shadow knows.
The shadow, who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. Years ago in the Orient, Cranston learned a strange and mysterious secret, the hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the voice of the invisible shadow belongs. Today's drama, A Gift of Murder. It is an evening in late December. A fine flurry of snow is just beginning to fall from the darkening sky as a smartly dressed young woman knocks on the heavy door of Gerald Covington's country estate.
Miss Eve.
Surprised to see me, Baxter?
Delighted to see you, miss, and I know your brother will be overjoyed. Come in, come in. Mr. Gerald was saying only last week that he hoped you'd get back from Europe in time for the party tonight.
Party? Did you say party?
Yes, miss.
A party here?
A little gathering in keeping with this glad season.
As I remember Gerald, he considers all seasons equally glum.
I know, miss, but this, you see, is in honor of your Aunt Frances.
In honor of Aunt Frances? Do you mean to tell me that Gerald is giving a party for Aunt Frances?
Indeed, miss.
Why, where is he?
In the drawing room, trimming the Christmas tree.
Trimming the... This I've got to see. Gerald!
Eva! What a happy surprise, I can't tell you.
A Christmas tree.
Yes, I did it all myself.
And presents.
For your Aunt Frances. Is it so strange, Eva, that I should want our aunt to have a lovely tree?
Yes.
My dear Aunt Frances is 72 years old. We may not have her with us long.
Darling, last year she was 71, which isn't precisely adolescent. And all she got for Christmas was a dozen handkerchiefs and a cold in the head.
Well, this year, things are somewhat different.
So I noticed. Last time I was in touch with this little family circle, you and Clyde hated Aunt Frances like death and taxes.
You may speak for our brother Clyde, but as for me, I've always adored the dear old soul.
Really?
Really. Shall I show you what I have for her?
Do.
Look, an antique music box, the sort of thing she loves, and in solid gold. Isn't it charming? Listen. God rest ye merry gentlemen.
Expensive item, I'd say.
I paid $500 for it, but nothing's too good for dear old Aunt Frances.
It isn't possible, is it, that Aunt Frances has come into money?
Well, that is...
She has.
Well, the truth is, an old admirer of hers, Mr. Onslow Fraser, remembered her in his will.
How distinctly did he remember her, Gerald?
Quite distinctly, Eva. She's inheriting $1 million.
Oh. And when did you hear of this?
Only yesterday. Mr. Elcott, attorney, member of the firm of Elcott and Devine in Boston, brought us the news.
Now I see it all. The tree, the presents, the party. You're competing with Clyde for Aunt Frances's affection.
I am only trying to brighten the end of her life.
You are only trying to become the chief beneficiary of her will.
Nonsense. I'm quite sure I will be a beneficiary, as you will, Eva, though I doubt that Clyde will benefit very much, if at all.
Why not?
I'll tell you why not. It's amusing, really. Quite amusing. Day before yesterday, before Mr. Elcott appeared, of course, Clyde was unfortunate enough to have written me a certain letter.
Letter?
A letter, my dear, suggesting that we put Aunt Frances in an old woman's home.
No.
Yes. I have the fatal bit of correspondence, keeping it carefully. And when Aunt Frances lays eyes on it, I shouldn't be surprised if she cuts Clyde out altogether.
And you're going to let her lay eyes on it, of course.
What do you think?
Does Clyde know you do?
Oh, my, yes. He's been on the phone for the past 2 days, begging and threatening my life by turns.
Clyde is not a man to let himself be pushed too far, Gerald.
I'll risk his wrath. I must go upstairs and wrap the music box for Aunt Frances. If the guests arrive, you'll greet them for me, won't you?
Who's coming?
Principally the family. Clyde and our dear aunt. And possibly the lawyer, Mr. Elcott.
Anyone else?
Just that young couple Aunt Frances is so fond of.
Mr. Cranston and Margot Lane.
Yes, she likes them. And it's my desire to please her, you know.
You bet I know.
I'll be down in a moment. Okay. This white piece of paper, I think, will be fitting. And the bright red ribbon for the holiday touch. Who's that? Oh, come in. I'll be finished with this wrapping in a moment. There, now, I think this makes a very charming little gift, don't you? I said, don't you? I said...
We're not too early, are we, Lamont?
Aunt Frances said 7. It's 7:15 now.
Oh. The perfect night for a holiday party.
Perfect. Rolling snowflakes by special arrangement with the weatherman.
Just for Aunt Frances' sake.
Of course. What do you say we lend the scene the crowning touch of a Christmas carol before we make an entrance?
I'd be glad to try.
Very good, milady. We shall fill the night with music. Of a sort. Me, 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 me.
Me, me.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay.
What was that?
Sounds as if something has someone very much dismayed.
Lamont.
Ring the bell.
Baxter.
Miss Lane, Mr. Cranston.
What's the matter? You look as if you've seen a ghost.
Not a ghost, sir. A corpse. Mr. Gerald has been murdered.
Gerald. Gerald.
When did this happen?
Not 5 minutes ago, sir, Mr. Gerald came up here to his study to wrap this music box. And the next thing we knew, the shot was fired.
Anyone else in the house beside you and Miss Eva?
No.
Yes.
What?
Mr. Clyde was here, miss. He rang the bell just after Mr. Gerald went upstairs.
Where did he go?
He pushed me aside and followed Mr. Gerald to his study.
Look at this in the ashtray.
A cigar.
Still warm, too.
One of Mr. Clyde's brand.
Clyde murdered Gerald. No.
He looked angry, but when I tried to stop it, he said he had to see Mr. Gerald on a matter of great urgency.
What sort of matter?
Something about a letter.
A letter?
Yes, there was a letter. Gerald told me about it just before he came upstairs. It must have been somewhere in the study, probably the desk. He said he was keeping it to hold over Clyde's head. Yes, here it is.
I'm afraid I'm a little baffled.
It's only too simple. In this letter, Clyde suggested putting Aunt Frances in an old woman's home.
What? But Aunt Frances just inherited a fortune.
This letter was written day before yesterday. It wasn't until the next day that Mr. Elcott appeared with the news about Onslow Fraser's will.
But it's perfectly obvious what happened, isn't it? Mr. Clyde killed Mr. Gerald to get the letter back.
But if he did, why didn't he take the letter with him?
It's probably because you two came running too quickly.
Yes. And not having gotten the letter, don't you think Clyde may still be somewhere in this house, waiting his chance?
If he is, I suggest Baxter be very careful.
Why, sir?
Because you know too much, and he knows you do.
You mean you think
He just killed one man, hasn't he?
Listen. Someone moving about downstairs. Clyde, what are you going to do, Lamont?
Don't worry, darling. Who's down there? Who is it? Answer me or I'll shoot.
You wouldn't shoot a defenseless old woman, would you? And so near Christmas, too.
Aunt Frances.
Thank heavens.
Lamont, let's go down before she comes up and sees Gerald.
You go ahead, darling. I'll join you in a moment.
Hello, Aunt Frances.
Margot and Eva. Dear little Eva. When did you get back, child?
Just today, Aunt Frances. Surprised to see me?
Surprised and happy. But then all the surprises I've gotten lately have been happy ones. Which reminds me, Miss Lane, Miss Covington, this is Miss Elcott. Of Elcott and DeVere.
How do you do?
Charmed, Miss Lane.
You're the lawyer who brought the news about Onslow Fraser's will, aren't you?
One and the same, Miss Covington. And happy I was to bear such tidings just at this joyful season.
I should say. Speaking of this joyful season, isn't there something in the drawing room that Aunt Frances should see, Eva? There certainly is.
What?
Now, you're not to ask questions. Just stand where you are.
Mercy me.
Now then, Margot, open the door. Merry Christmas, Aunt Frances.
For me?
All for you.
A lovely tree. Indeed, a very lovely tree.
It's so beautiful. It's really so beautiful.
Now then, my dear.
It's been so long since I had a real Christmas. I've forgotten how wonderful it can be.
Yes, one does forget how wonderful things can be. You rang for me, Miss Eva?
Yes, Baxter. Merry Christmas, Baxter.
The same to you, Aunt Frances. Let's have the eggnogs now, Miss Eva.
I can't think of a better time.
Shouldn't we wait for Gerald?
Oh, I don't think so, Aunt Frances.
And Clyde. Where's Clyde?
Right here, Aunt Frances.
Clyde!
You don't think I'd miss your party, do you? Merry Christmas, Aunt Frances. And may you wear these for many, many happy years to come.
For me, Clyde?
For you.
Oh, pearls. A choker of perfectly matched pearls. Miss Elcott, look.
Exquisite. Really exquisite.
You must have spent a fortune on these, Clyde. And I haven't a thing for you.
That doesn't matter, Aunt Frances.
Oh, but it does. I'm rich now, you know, and I insist that you tell me exactly what you like for Christmas.
I'd like you to be well and happy.
Oh, that's very sweet. But isn't there something you'd really like to have?
I think I can tell you what Clyde would really like to have, Aunt Frances.
What's that, Eva?
A letter.
Miss Eva, just what are you talking about, Eva?
A letter, Clyde. A letter that you wrote Gerald day before yesterday.
I never wrote Gerald a letter.
Oh, no? How peculiar. And I have it right here, signed by you.
May I see that?
No, you may not.
May I see that, Eva?
You may not,
May I see it now, Eva?
Oh,
Mr. Covington.
He's got a gun.
Hand it over. Come on. Give it to me. Thank you.
Clyde, what's the meaning of this?
There's no time to explain just now, Aunt Frances. I must go. However, I beg you not to believe any of the poisonous lies these people may tell you about me behind my back. I want you to know that I do wish you the very merriest...
Drop that phone.
Don't throw on me.
Drop it back.
Pick up that gun, Baxter.
Yes, sir. What do I do now,
Take
sir?
Mr. Clyde up to the study and hold him there until the police arrive. Yes, that's right. There's been a murder, and we're holding the culprit under guard. Yes, I suggest you get here as fast as you can.
Are the police coming, Mr. Cranston?
Immediately, Mr. Elcott. I'm sorry I had to spoil your Christmas party like this, Aunt Frances.
Oh, Lamont, my dear, you had no choice.
Aunt Frances.
Yes, my dear?
We found this upstairs. A little remembrance that Gerald bought for you.
A music box.
And a very lovely one. Listen.
Oh, how charming. And look, it's gold.
Not a gift for a golden-haired lady.
What did you say, Mr. Elcott?
Why,
Mr. Johnston!
Come on.
That came from the back of the house.
Clyde.
He's killed Baxter. Come on, Margot. Baxter! Baxter!
Baxter.
I'm all right, Miss Lane.
Oh.
Though I can't say as much for my prisoner.
Clyde.
He tried to escape, sir. So I was forced to shoot.
Tried to escape? How could he try to escape with you standing over him with a gun?
I don't know, sir. But he did. And since the two of us were all alone here, I'm afraid, Mr. Cranston, you will just have to take my word for it.
When Margot and Lamont heard the shot from the rear of the Covington mansion, they found Baxter standing over Clyde Covington, a smoking revolver in his hand. A few moments later, in the massive entrance foyer.
He killed Clyde deliberately, Lamont. I'm sure Baxter shot him in cold blood.
I rather agree with you, Margot.
But why?
Possibly because Clyde had an alibi. An alibi Baxter didn't want him to use. I mean that Clyde may have not come to this house at all early in the evening.
Not even to get the letter?
He wasn't the only person who might have been interested in getting that letter, Margot.
No?
No. Baxter could have used it nicely to hold over Clyde's head as long as Aunt Frances lived, bleeding him of a nice sum in the process.
I see what you mean. Then it may have been Baxter who killed Gerald, too.
I don't know. It's only a theory. Theory is worth a visit from the shadow.
What was that? Who's that laughing?
Who's in this pantry?
It is I, Baxter.
Who spoke? There's nobody here.
Oh, yes, there is, Baxter. The shadow is here.
The shadow?
Standing right at your elbow. You can't see me, but I'm here. Here to see justice is done, Baxter.
What's happening to me? My mind is slipping.
I want the truth, Baxter.
Go away! Go away!
Not until you tell me why you killed Gerald Covington.
Leave me alone. Please, please. I didn't kill Mr. Gerald.
You can't lie your way out of murder.
I didn't kill him. That's not what I've lied about.
What have you lied about?
Nothing.
The truth?
I lied about him. About the man coming in before Mr. Gerald was killed.
Yes?
It wasn't Mr. Clyde.
No, then who was he?
Will you let me alone if I tell you?
Yes.
All right, then. It was...
Lamont, is Baxter going to be all right?
Yes, the bullet grazed his skull. He's unconscious, but he'll live. I left him in the library.
This case is getting more confusing every minute.
Yes, isn't it?
Take Mr. Elcott, for instance. I don't understand his position in this little mystery at all.
Well, what do you mean?
You remember what he said when I gave Aunt Frances the little gold music box?
Yes, he said a proper gift for a golden-haired lady.
Exactly. And how does he know Aunt Frances had golden hair? Her hair's been snow white for the past 20 years.
An interesting question.
And very confusing. It's all confusion.
Margot,
Yes?
whose overcoat is this hanging in the hall tree?
Well, I don't know. If it isn't yours, it must be Mr. Elcott's.
Elcott.
Why?
I just saw this sticking out of the pocket.
Clyde's letter. Well, what's it doing in his overcoat?
Must have grabbed it in the confusion. You know, it's just possible that our dignified old friend also saw the value in holding it over Clyde's head.
Of course. After all, what do we really know about it?
Not much. We're going to find out.
Operator.
I want to make a long-distance call to Boston, Massachusetts.
To what number, please?
Oh, I don't know the number. It's the law firm of Elcott, and
Juvine.
And Juvine.
Yes, sir. I will place the call and ring you back.
And make it fast, please.
Yes, sir.
And what do you really think?
Time has come to stop thinking, Margot. We're on the verge of the kind of discovery that cracks the case wide open.
Yes.
Look, I want you to go into the drawing room. Elcott will be there.
Yes.
I'll tell you exactly what I want you to do. When you get in...
Come in, Miss Lane.
Where's Aunt Frances? Lying down upstairs. She's had more excitement than she can very well stand.
Sit down, Miss Lane.
Thank you.
Miss Eva and I were just saying that this case is becoming quite perplexing.
It is indeed. This attack on Baxter is the most puzzling thing of all. Now that Clyde is dead, who could have done it?
I don't know, but there's certainly no doubt that Clyde's guilty of Gerald's murder. Baxter saw him run up to Gerald's study just before Gerald was killed.
I'm afraid that's not true, Mr. Elcott. Baxter admitted he was lying about that just before he was wounded.
Is that so? But there's that cigar, the one that Miss Eva saw in the ashtray. Didn't that belong to Clyde?
Yes, Mr. Elcott, it did. It even had his initials on the band. Do you really think Clyde would have been foolish enough to leave a piece of evidence like that behind, Mr. Elcott?
Well, what are you suggesting, Miss Lane?
I'm suggesting that with Clyde out of the way, the margin of guilt is narrowed down pretty closely, Mr. Elcott.
To me, Miss Lane?
Yes.
But
to you.
I've been with Aunt Frances all afternoon. I was with her at the moment when Mr. Gerald was murdered.
Can you prove that?
Of course I can. Aunt Frances is right upstairs. You have my permission to ask her.
Then it wasn't you?
Obviously not. And obviously, Miss Lane, you can now draw the logical conclusion.
Yes. I'm afraid we can. Before you do, put up your hand.
Eva! Put that gun away.
I'm sorry, Mr. Elcott. I'm really quite sorry that you two, who aren't members of this greedy little family, had to stumble on the truth.
Do you think you'll get away with this?
I can try.
There's a very slim chance that you'll succeed.
For $1 million, I'll take a very slim chance.
The telephone.
Sit right where you are. I'll answer it. Hello?
Someone had just put in a call to the law firm in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes?
We checked very carefully, miss. There's no such firm listed.
What?
There is no firm of Elkhart, and Dubin.
What's the matter?
Who are you, Elkhart?
I'm almost sorry for you, Miss Eva.
There is no firm of Elkhart, and Duveen.
I know. And there's no $1 million.
What? But you came here about Onslow Fraser's will.
And Onslow Fraser never made a will. In fact, Onslow Fraser isn't even dead.
What?
Although just at this moment he almost wishes he were.
Then you...
Yes, I'm Fraser.
Oh, I think I begin to see.
I fell in love with Anne Francis years ago, when she was as young as you are tonight, Miss Lane. And I never fell out of love with her.
Why did you have to pretend to us that she was inheriting $1 million? Why?
Because I knew how dismally you and Clyde and Gerald had treated her. I had no money to help her with myself. And then the idea came to me, I could make it appear that she'd become an heiress. And then depend on your greed and deceit to provide her with at least one really Merry Christmas.
A very sweet idea, but...
But a very dismal failure, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid so, too. I'm afraid there'll still have to be 2 more murders before the party's over.
Eva!
There may not be $1 million, but I still have my life to think of.
Don't you realize the police are on their way?
But they're not here yet, and I have a gun, and the door is open.
What was that?
Who closed that door?
I did, Eva. The door is no longer open.
Who are you?
I am the Shadow.
What are you doing here?
I've come to accuse Eva Covington of the murder of her brother, Gerald.
It's a lie. A lie. You can't prove it.
I can prove you contrived a neat little plot to murder Gerald and convince the world that Clyde had murdered him for an incriminating letter.
No.
You took Baxter in on your plan, promising him a part of the $1 million you hoped to get. That's why Baxter killed Clyde when he realized he could easily alibi his way out of the charge.
How do you know all this?
The Shadow knows. When I confronted Baxter, who was about to get the truth out of him, it was you who shot him to save your own skin.
And I still have a skin to save. Either you open that door or I pull this trigger.
Don't be a fool.
I warned you. Let him.
Drop that gun. Drop it. Drop it.
Let me go. Let me go.
As you please, Miss Eva.
She's going out of the window.
Yes, Mr. Elkhart. Straight into the arms of the police.
Found the letter in your overcoat, and I thought you were the murderer, Mr. Elkhart.
I picked it up and hidden it so that Aunt Frances wouldn't see it, Miss Lane. Here she comes. Frances.
Yes?
I want you to know how sorry I am.
Sorry? Why?
I've made a tragic mistake. The gift of Christmas that I tried to give you turned out to be a gift of murder.
Not really, Onslow.
But Clyde and Gerald are dead.
It was their own greed and ruthlessness that brought about their death.
And besides, the world's better off without either of them.
Much better.
Nevertheless, I'm sorry.
You shouldn't be. You've made me very rich.
But the $1 million wasn't real, Frances.
Oh, it isn't the million that's made me rich. It's your kindness and remembrance and the love of your heart. That's real, isn't it?
Yes.
Then, Onslow.
My dear?
Must you take that back?
Frances. You mean...
I'm alone, and so are you.
My darling.
Well, what do you know? It looks like it'll be a Merry Christmas after all.
With many more to come.
And that's The Shadow, starring Brett Morrison in A Gift of Murder, as originally broadcast December 21st, 1947. I'm...
No! Get away, please! Please!
Cleft Stick,
A play for radio by R.D. Wingfield.
New paragraph. I have spoken to our quality control about your complaint and can assure you that the balance of your order will be fully up to specification. Full stop. Yours sincerely, Managing Director. Next letter. Is that you, John? Good Lord.
John. Oh, John.
What's the matter? What's happened? All right, easy. Yes. Come on, drink this. Go on, all of it.
Thank you.
Sit down and tell me what happened.
I didn't leave Mother's until gone 10 o'clock. As it was late, I took the shortcut through the woods.
At this time of night?
I know.
Oh, darling, the times I've told you. Well, what happened? What happened?
A man attacked me. He jumped at me from the bushes. He tried to strangle me. What are you doing?
I'm calling the police. Then I'm going out to look for him. What was he like?
John! He's dead.
What did you say?
Emergency, what service
He's
please?
dead,
Fire,
John. I
ambulance.
killed him.
Emergency, what service please?
I had your gun. He tried to strangle me. I shot him.
What were you doing with my gun?
I've been taking it with me when I go out at night. I've sensed there was someone lurking in the woods following me.
The same man?
I don't know, but
why the hell haven't you told me before?
You'd have stopped me going out.
You bet I would.
I had to see Mother was all right. She shouldn't be left.
Tell me exactly what happened tonight.
I was late. I took the shortcut. I just passed that old oak when he suddenly jumped out of the bushes. I couldn't run. I had my back against the tree. I pleaded with him, but he just came on laughing, his hands going for my throat. I shot him. It's all right. I shot him.
Well, perhaps he's not dead. Perhaps you're only wounded.
No, his eyes were wide open, staring.
Darling, we'll have to call the police.
No.
Joan, we must.
I couldn't stand it. The questions and scandal.
Scandal? Well, what have we got to hide?
It would all come out in court.
What would?
Where I'd been. Where I'd been going these past nights. My mother isn't ill, John.
But
I've been seeing another man.
I see. Well, who is he? Anyone I know?
Oh, it's all over now, John. It doesn't matter who it was. What's that noise?
It's my dictation machine, the end of the tape. I thought I'd switched it off. Oh, I suspected there'd been someone else. Who is it?
It's all over now, John, I promise you. I told him so tonight. Please don't call the police.
Did anyone see you in the woods?
No.
Now, are you sure it's important?
No one saw me.
And it happened well away from the main path?
Yes.
So, with luck, it could be days before anyone finds him.
John.
Oh, what is it?
Your hand. There's blood on your hand.
Where did that come from? Your gloves. It's all over your gloves.
Oh, must be his blood. Oh, no.
It's all right. Now, don't panic. It doesn't seem to be anywhere else. Just the gloves. No, don't touch them. Just hold out your hands. I'll take them off. Well, the best place for them is straight into the fire. Lucky we noticed.
You're not going to tell the police.
This man, your lover... No, I don't want to know his name. It's definitely all over.
Yes.
All right. Well, if no one saw you in the woods, there's no possible way the police could link you with the body. You'd better let me have the gun.
In my handbag.
It's not here.
Must be.
It's not. In your coat, the pocket.
No.
And where is it?
I can't think.
Look, gun's registered with the police. If they find it...
I remember I dropped it.
Where?
When I realized he was dead, I dropped the gun and ran and ran.
Where did you drop it?
Oh, not far from the body.
We'd better go and look for it.
Oh, I couldn't go back there. I couldn't.
All right. Now, don't upset yourself. I'll go on my own. That's all right. Now, tell me exactly where it happened.
God, I'm sorry.
Darling, just tell me where it happened.
Well, you know that little clearing, the one past that big oak tree?
Must be somewhere near here. What was that? Just getting jumpy. Oh, this is the clearing, but where... Oh, there he is. God, he's dead, all right.
Looking for something?
Hold it there, if you don't mind. You're hurting my arm.
Won't be for long. We've got a visitor.
Well.
Who are you?
As you asked first, we're police officers. I'm Detective Superintendent Bishop. The gentleman holding your arm is Detective Sergeant Jennings. I suppose he was blackmailing you.
Who?
The dead man.
I've never seen him before.
Oh, forgive me, sir. I jumped to conclusions. What are you doing here?
I'm just walking.
Of course, sir, of course. Beautiful spot for a walk, the woods. Mind you, you don't see it at its best at 1 o'clock in the morning. Do you often come this way?
Yes.
Oh, you can let go of the gentleman's arm, Jennings. I like your suit, sir.
My suit?
Very elegant. How many of them do you get through a week? You've ruined that one, forcing your way through the bushes.
I missed the path.
Of course, easy thing to do if you don't know the way, although you said you often came here. His name's Bryant.
Bryant?
The dead man. Nasty piece of work, sir. It does you credit that you don't know him. We're not so lucky. We know him, don't we, Jennings?
Yes, sir.
Off the record, whoever killed him deserves our heartfelt thanks. It wasn't you by any chance, was it, sir?
No.
Of course not. You've never seen it before. I don't think we asked you your name, sir.
Marlowe, John Marlowe. I live at Dell Cottage, just north of here.
Jot it down, will you, Sergeant? You know what my memory's like.
I see.
So you don't know him, and you didn't shoot him, Mr. Marlowe. Oh, pity. I was hoping we'd wrap this one up without too much trouble. I did tell you he was shot, didn't I?
No.
No, it must have been the other fellow. Yes, he was shot. Point-blank range. Died instantly. Too good for him, really. A bit late for a walk, isn't it, sir?
I don't sleep too well. A walk helps.
Oh, now there's a coincidence, Sergeant. That's what the other fellow said.
What other fellow?
The chap who found the body. What was his name, Jennings?
Weber, sir.
That's right, Weber. You must know him, sir.
No, I don't think so.
I thought you might have bumped into each other during your nocturnal wanderings. Have you got a dog, Mr. Marlowe?
No.
Weber's dog found the body. That must be our reinforcement, Sergeant. Do the honors, would you?
Right you are, sir.
I want a thorough search. We've got to find that gun.
Yes, sir.
Killers usually conform to a pattern, Mr. Marlowe. They chuck the murder weapon away at the first opportunity. We'll have one hell of a job finding it in these woods, though. Too many hiding places. You wouldn't have a gun by any chance, would you, sir?
As a matter of fact, yes, I have.
Good Lord. And I wasn't even going to ask you. Where is this gun, sir?
At home.
Oh, naturally, it's licensed.
Naturally. I'm secretary of the Beckley Rifle Club.
I remember you now, sir. Saw you shoot at Bisley last year. We had a police team there. I reckon we could have a look at this gun, sir.
Well, it might be difficult.
Why is that?
I was looking for it only the other day. It seems to be missing.
Missing? You reported this to our people, of course?
No.
Oh, pity. You should have done, you know.
Oh, it'll turn up. It's about somewhere.
Yes, of course it is. Now, don't you worry any more about it, sir. I'll send some of my men down to your place to help you search. In these days of high prices, you don't want to lose it. I wonder if Weber has a gun. I forgot to ask him. Some people have rotten luck, don't they?
Rotten luck?
Well, like you, suffering from insomnia and mislaying a valuable gun. I've never lost a gun in my life. And the murderer, he had rotten luck, too. I mean, look at this place. Miles off the beaten track, as remote as you could wish for. He must have expected the body would remain undiscovered for weeks. And yet within half an hour of each other, you and this chap Weber, with his rotten dog, trip over it while it's still warm. Oh, I told you his dog found it, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
There's some dogs you can take to, but not that one. You'll give us a written statement, won't you, sir?
Well, yes, of course.
No need for a special journey. Perhaps you could do it now.
Now?
Well, it won't take more than a couple of minutes to run you down to the station.
But it's late. My wife will be worried.
Oh, she must be used to you being out late by now, sir. These walks for your insomnia.
Yes, I know, but we'll be very...
If it'll make you feel any happier, you can phone from the station.
Is this absolutely necessary, Superintendent? I know nothing about this business.
Just as important to eliminate the innocent as to track down the guilty, Mr. Marlowe. I must ask Weber if he's got a gun. And if he's got a license for that terrible dog. Jennings?
Yes, sir.
Found it yet?
Not yet, sir.
Well, keep trying. You have my permission not to spare yourselves. I'm off to the station with Mr. Marlowe. I'll use your car. When your men have found the gun, perhaps they can lend a hand getting mine out of the ditch. These country lanes, Mr. Marlowe.
Look, how much longer have I got to wait?
I think he's coming now, sir.
Here I am, Mr. Marlowe. Why doesn't time fly when you're busy?
I've been here over an hour, Superintendent.
I am sorry, but it's chaos out there. If a murderer had to complete the same amount of paperwork before committing a crime as we have to in solving it, the crime figures would drop like a stone. Oh, you haven't touched your tea?
No.
Wise man. You must have been here before. Well, we won't hold you up much longer. Here's your statement, all typed.
Oh, where do I sign?
Just here, sir.
Oh.
But read it through first in case we've made a mistake. We're not as infallible as our many fans make out, you know.
Yes, right, I read it.
Anything you want to change?
No.
Fine, then. Sign here and I'll witness it. A good, bold hand, sir. That's what I like to see. Now, let me just have a quick look through it, and then I'll run you home. Insomnia, out for a stroll. No, nothing about the crime, never seen the dead man before. Yes, that's all in order, sir. It's a pleasure to deal with you. You know, some people come in here and tell us a tissue of lies, and we have to get them all typed out. Oh, mustn't forget the witness it. Yes?
Can you spare a minute, sir?
Oh, Jennings, sorry about your car. The wall was closer than I thought. I'll pay for the rear lamp.
Could you come outside, sir?
Oh, you can speak quite freely in front of Mr. Marlowe, Sergeant. He's just signed a statement absolving himself from any connection with the crime, and I've witnessed it.
We found the gun, sir.
Good man. That is good news, isn't it, Mr. Marlowe?
And ballistics have done a quick check. The gun and the bullet from the body match.
As indeed they should. Excellent. Any fingerprints?
No, sir. The killer must have worn gloves.
Oh, how annoying. Do you wear gloves, Mr. Marlowe?
No.
You should. It gets bitterly cold at night in these woods. Oh, but you know, don't you? You're insomnia. You're bursting to tell me something else.
I've checked the gun with records, sir. It was licensed. We know the owner.
Licensed? Ah, you're not the only honest person in the world, you see, Mr. Marlowe. And is the owner anyone we know, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. The chap who found the body. Weber. I'm always suspicious of people who walk in the woods at night. Oh, present company accepted, of course, Mr. Marlowe. Am I right, Sergeant?
No, sir. It's registered in the name of Mr. Marlowe.
Oh, dear. It doesn't look as if you'll be going home quite as early as we'd hoped, Mr. Marlowe.
Look, I'd better tell you the truth.
If you knew how much that helps us, sir, you'd like to make another statement, I suppose.
Yes, I suppose so.
The authorized version this time? Good. Lucky I asked the typist to hang on. I must have second sight or something. Off we go, then, Mr. Marlowe. Statement number 2.
My wife shot him. He attacked her as she was coming home through the woods.
Who is it?
Police, Mrs. Marlowe. We've come to take you to the station.
I'll just get my coat. Is my husband all right?
As far as I know, Mrs. Marlowe. Superintendent Bishop did phone you, didn't he?
Yeah, he phoned me. I'm ready. Shall we go?
Yes. Right you are. I'll tell him. Thank you. They're bringing Mrs. Marlowe in now, sir.
Good. If you could just sign this statement there, Mr. Marlowe. Usual place. Excellent. You're getting an old hand at this now.
What will happen to my wife? Will you keep her here?
Oh, for tonight at least. If her story checks out, I don't think we'll oppose bail.
I'd like to get hold of my solicitor.
Oh, certainly. It's a bit late, though, isn't it?
He's a family friend.
Use this phone, Mr. Marlowe. Just tell them the number you want, and I'll get it for you.
Thank you. Belton 492, please.
What time do they start serving breakfast in the canteen?
5 o'clock.
Oh, dear. Another 2 hours. I'm starving.
There should be someone there. Would you keep trying, please?
No luck, Mr. Marlowe.
No, he's not answering.
I'm not surprised. You phoned my solicitor at 5:05. He won't answer. Oh, remember that time I tried to phone him, Sergeant, when I ran over that rotten woman's cat?
Hello, David. David Anakin. It's John Marlowe. Look, we're in trouble, David. It's Joan. She's killed a man. No, not the car. It was self-defense. Look, I can't explain now. Can you come on over? No, I'm at Norton Police Station. Detective Superintendent Bishop. Oh, thanks, David. You're a pal.
All right, sir.
Yes, he's on his way.
Good. Let's hope he's a bit faster than most members of his profession. Oh, take it, Jennings.
Jennings? Oh, Applebo. Mrs. Marlowe is here, sir.
Number 2 interview room, Sergeant.
Take her to number 2, would you? Thank you.
Can't I see her?
Later, sir, after I've questioned her. Shouldn't take long. Hello, Mrs. Marlowe. I'm Detective Superintendent Bishop. We spoke earlier on the phone. Please sit down.
Thank you.
Would you like a cup of tea or anything?
No, thank you.
Right. Well, I suppose you know what this is all about.
You mentioned over the phone that a man named Bryant had been shot.
That's right. With your husband's gun. However, your husband's made a statement which we'd like you to confirm. What time did you go out this evening, Mrs. Marlowe? Back at last, Mr. Marlowe. Sorry for the delay, but we seem to have hit a slight snag.
A snag?
Yes, I've had a chat with your wife. Oh, do take a seat, Mrs. Marlowe. But her story doesn't quite fit in with yours. She tells me she didn't go out at all yesterday evening.
Didn't go out?
But that you did. About 11 o'clock. To meet a man in the woods. And you took your gun with you.
I don't believe it.
I'm not making it up, am I, Mrs. Marlowe?
I'm sorry, John. If only I knew what you wanted me to say.
I wanted you to tell them the truth.
I have told them the truth.
Would you mind turning out your pockets, Mr. Marlowe? We'll give you a receipt for anything we keep.
Oh, all right.
Have you cut yourself recently, Mr. Marlowe?
No, why?
I'd say that was blood on that handkerchief. Looks fresh. Get it over to the lab, Jennings.
It's Brian's blood. I mentioned it in my statement, Superintendent. It came off my wife's gloves.
The gloves you burnt, you mean?
Yes.
Mrs. Marlowe?
I've only got one pair of gloves, Superintendent. See, I'm wearing them.
Unburnt and unbloodstained. Now, this makes things a bit difficult, sir.
Why, Joan? Why are you doing this to me?
Don't worry, John. I'll stick by you.
You're a solicitor for you, Mr. Marlowe.
John.
David, what kept you? I phoned you hours ago.
Sorry about that. Couldn't get the Richard car to start. I'll bang on the door when I want to come out of it, sir.
Right, sir.
Oh, this is a rotten mess, John. Cigarette?
No, thanks.
Well, I must have one. These places reek of disinfectant. I suppose they must get a lot of drunks and tramps. All right, John. Let's have it. I want the truth.
Have you read my statement?
I read both of them.
The second one is the truth.
Do you think it's wise trying to pin it onto Joan?
Wise or not, it's what happened. You don't believe me, do you?
If I believe you, then I'd have to believe that Joan would deliberately lie to get you accused of murder.
Perhaps I'd better get myself another solicitor.
Not after dragging me out of bed at 3 a.m, you don't. All right. Let's accept your second statement. Now, what sort of a case could the police make out against you?
A cast iron one.
No case is cast iron.
He was killed with my gun.
That's not proof that you fired it. You could have lost the gun weeks ago.
His blood on my handkerchief.
So you brushed against the body when you found it in the woods. And the dead man, Bryant, he was a complete stranger to you, wasn't he?
Yes.
Well then, why should you kill a complete stranger? No, the police haven't even got the beginning of a case against you.
Then why are they holding me?
Because you're all they've got at the moment. Now, don't worry. I'll get you out of here.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Anakin, but there's a couple of questions I'd like to ask Mr. Marlowe just to clear up one or two little points.
You won't mind if I stay, will you?
Not at all, sir. Well, are they treating you all right, Mr. Marlowe?
Yes, thank you.
Well, the lab tells us that the blood on the handkerchief isn't yours, sir. But it is the same group as the late Mr. Bryant.
It is Bryant's. I don't dispute it.
From your wife's gloves, which you burnt, of course.
It's always possible that Mr. Marlowe accidentally touched the body when he found it, Superintendent.
Sergeant Jennings is pretty sure he didn't, sir. But in any case, that would hardly account for the presence of blood on a handkerchief in his inside pocket, but none at all on his hand. Anyway, we've got Bryant's file from criminal records. Read us out his form, Jennings.
Con man, robbery with violence, blackmail, grievous bodily harm, more grievous bodily harm with a broken bottle, robbery with violence, malicious wounding.
No real harm in him, you see. Just impishness. Anything else to his credit, Jennings?
Oh, plenty more of the same, sir. Nothing different.
Robbery with violence. He could have been trying to rob my wife.
I don't think so, sir. He wasn't a handbag snatcher. He was big time. Ammonia in the eyes of old ladies running sub-post offices. Now, you said you didn't know him, Mr. Marlowe.
That's right.
And perhaps you could explain this. Chuck it over, would you, Sergeant?
There we are, sir.
That's it. Now, we got this from his pocket. It's Bryant's diary. Now, somewhere... What's your telephone number, Mr. Marlowe?
Belton 478.
Why would the dead man have written your telephone number in his diary, sir?
My telephone number? It can't be.
Take a look at yourself, sir.
Belton 478.
Puzzling, isn't it? Any explanation that might help?
No.
There's more, I'm afraid. Here it is. The entry for today. Oh, well, yesterday now. Take a look at that.
Well, let me see, John. It isn't very clear.
Oh, I think it's very clear, sir. It says JM 1130. Now, who can JM be? I spy, with my little eye, someone beginning with JM. John Marlowe.
No, it's not me.
11:30, sir, the time of your meeting with Bryant.
I didn't have a meeting. I didn't go out.
Of course not. You said so, didn't you, in one of your statements, the second or the first, I forget which. Well, perhaps there's a simple explanation for these entries. If you think of anything that might help, let me know. In the meantime, I'll carry on with my investigations. Come on, Sergeant.
Beautiful cottage, isn't it, sir?
Like something out of Walt Disney. He only wants a few bluebirds with ribbons in their mouths to complete the picture. Too pretty for a murderer to live in. Or a murderess. Good morning, Mrs. Marlowe. We were just talking about you. Isn't it a glorious day?
Good morning, Superintendent.
You don't mind if we come in, do you? Oh, I hit your gate post with my car up there. Loosened it a bit, I'm afraid. What a delightful house. In here?
Yes, please.
And what a charming room. That must be the famous fireplace where your husband did or did not burn your bloodstained gloves. And tropical fish. What a fascinating hobby. I used to keep them, you know.
Did you?
Yeah, lost a lot. The thermostat went wrong one night and the water boiled. Found a tank full of bouillabaisse the next morning. Can you fire a gun, Mrs. Marlowe?
Yes.
I suppose anyone can, just a question of pulling the trigger. I can smell coffee.
I've just made some. Would you like a cup?
Mrs. Marlowe, it's what my whole being is craving for.
I won't be a minute.
Right, Jennings. When she comes back, I'll keep her talking and you go and nose around the house. Looks like his study in there. As good a place as any to start.
Right, sir.
Oh, dear, they've got woodworm in that center beam. Can you see it? Just by the light. Oh, this is prompt service, Mrs. Marlowe.
It's already made. And there are a few cakes I've baked if you'd like to try one.
Delightful. Delightful.
I'm not much of a cook, I'm afraid. Sergeant?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Marlowe. I'll take mine with me if you don't mind.
With you?
He's going to take a little look around, Mrs. Marlowe. Nothing to worry about, just routine. Do you know there's a serpent in your Garden of Eden?
What do you mean?
You've got woodworm in that centre beam. Well, don't let's keep you, Sergeant.
Oh, right, sir.
Alone at last. I thought he'd never go. The middle beam, up there by the light.
Oh, yes, we've had it seen to. How's your coffee? It's a bit bitter, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's all right. It doesn't have to be good for me to enjoy it. Would this be the room you stayed in when you didn't go out last night?
Yes.
Delightful room. Did you watch television or listen to the radio?
I read a book.
Murder story?
A romance. Would you like to see it?
No, thanks. I'll leave this cake if you don't mind, Mrs. Marlowe. I'm not as hungry as I thought. You know, your husband gave me the impression that he expected you to back up his story last night.
If I'd known what he wanted me to say, Superintendent, I'd have said it.
Very loyal indeed. They haven't cured the trouble, you know.
Oh.
The woodworm people. That wood dust means they're still active. Can you think of any reason why anyone would want to blackmail your husband, Mrs. Marlowe?
Blackmail?
Yes. Amongst his many other virtues, the late Mr. Bryant was a blackmailer. He might have been blackmailing your husband.
As far as I know, my husband has no guilty secrets.
Have you got any?
No.
Oh, then I'm the odd man out. That was, very nice.
Would you like a second?
No, thank you. The memory of that one will last me a long time.
Excuse me, sir.
Sergeant, have you got any guilty secrets?
Hundreds, sir.
I thought so. You don't get shifty eyes like that for nothing. You found something.
Yes, sir, in the study.
Come on, Mrs. Marlowe. You can be a witness.
In the top drawer of the desk, sir.
You haven't drunk your coffee, Sergeant.
No, sir.
Knock it back quick, and Mrs. Marlowe will give you a second one. Now, what have we here? A check.
And you see who it's made out to?
Bryant. Pay R. Bryant the sum of £1,000. Signed, John Marlowe. Oh, don't touch it, Mrs. Marlowe. We'll want it tested for fingerprints.
£1,000? Why should John want to give Bryant £1,000?
Well, unless Bryant was a woodworm exterminator in his spare time, it fits in nicely with our blackmail theory.
But if he was willing to pay the money, sir, why kill him?
Well, perhaps £1,000 wasn't enough for Bryant. But why, guess I'm sure that if we ask Mr. Marlowe nicely, he'll explain. The check itself is typed, Mrs. Marlowe. Was that usual?
Yes, he typed most of his checks.
On this machine here, I'd imagine, sir. The type looks the same.
Well, the lab can verify it. We'll have to borrow this typewriter, Mrs. Marlowe.
If you must.
And the check, of course. Hello. What's this?
A portable dictating machine. My husband brings a lot of work home from the office.
Something like the ones we use for our report. Looks as though he's done a lot of letters.
I'm afraid I don't know.
Well, I won't mess about with it then in case I break it. I'm not very lucky with mechanical things.
Here's a receipt for the typewriter, Mrs. Marlowe.
You needn't have bothered.
Oh, things have to be done properly. Hello. Is that your wedding photo?
Yes.
Wonderful institution marriage. The two partners sticking together through thick and thin. Bryant wasn't blackmailing you, I suppose?
No, he wasn't.
Of course not. You didn't know him, did you? Like your husband. Sorry to be such a nuisance, Mrs. Marlowe. Don't bother. We'll see ourselves out.
I'm sorry, John. She refuses to come and see you.
Why is she doing this to me? Why is she lying?
Why, indeed?
A damn fine solicitor you are. You don't believe me, do you?
Not part of my job to believe my clients, son, just to do my best for them.
She'd been seeing another man, you know.
Joe, don't believe it.
She admitted it the night she shot Bryant. Mind you, I'd suspected it for some time.
Well, I always thought that you and Joe were very happy.
We were at first. Oh, I suppose it was my fault. I was spending more time on the business than on her.
Have you thought of divorcing her?
I couldn't, even if I wanted to. I just got the business on its feet. It was hard work, but I did it. Trouble is, it's all Joan's money. I didn't have a penny when I married her. Even the house is in her name. If I divorced her, I'd lose the lot.
I see.
I suppose if I was sent to prison for life, she'd be able to divorce me for desertion or mental cruelty.
I don't really know, John. My partner handles what little divorce work we do. I can't really accept that Joan would go to these lengths just to get a divorce. Any idea who the man is?
No.
I'll make a few discreet inquiries. Might lead to something. Now, who's this?
Well, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Superintendent.
I've just been taking coffee with your good lady wife, Mr. Marlowe. We found something of interest. Now, where did I... Now, if I remember correctly, sir, you tell us you didn't know the late unlamented R. Bryant, Esquire.
That's right.
And yet you made him out this check for £1,000. We found it in your desk drawer.
You must believe me, Superintendent. I've never seen this check before.
It seems to be your signature, sir.
I don't dispute the signature.
Don't admit anything at this stage, John.
Well, why deny it? It's my signature. I always left a couple of ready-signed checks in my desk so my wife could settle any odd bills for me. This typing's been added afterwards.
The only fingerprints on it are yours, sir.
People have been known to wear gloves, Superintendent.
And to throw them on the fire, sir. Oh, yes, Jennings?
He's here, sir.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Marlowe, have you any objection to attending an identity parade?
An identity parade? Why?
You know this chap Weber, the other night walker, the man who found the body? He says he saw Bryant with another man in the woods the night before the shooting.
But it certainly wasn't me.
Well, then, here's your chance to prove it, sir. Weber's confident he'd recognize the man again.
Oh, what do you say, David?
Why not? As long as I'm allowed to be present, Superintendent.
The more the merrier, sir.
All right. Then I'll do it.
Jolly good. All laid on, Jennings?
Ready and waiting, sir. If you'd all come this way, please. Right, gentlemen. If you could all form a line along here, please. Are you satisfied with that, Mr. Marlowe, or do you want to change the order?
I'm satisfied.
Then take your place where you like, sir.
All right.
Good. The rest of you close up. Right. We're ready.
Right, Sergeant.
This way, Mr. Weber. Now take your time, sir. We're in no hurry.
Him.
Touch him, would you, sir, so there's no mistake. Thank you. Now, are you positive?
I'm positive. He was in the woods with the other one. The one who was killed.
He's lying. He's lying.
All right, sir, that'll do.
I tell you, he's lying. David, he's lying.
Thank you, gentlemen. That'll be all. Take Mr. Marlowe to the charge room, Constable.
The charge room?
Yes, sir. You're going to be charged with the murder of Robert David Bryant on or about the night of Wednesday, June the 17th.
But I've already
You
told
have no need to say anything. But anything you do say will be taken down and maybe...
Visitor for Mr. Marlowe.
David.
Give me a shout when you're ready to come out, sir.
Right. Hello, John.
David.
Well, I think I've got your defense fixed up. I saw Sir Alfred Pelham this morning.
Pelham? But he's expensive, isn't he?
Expensive but good. He's willing to take the case on one condition.
Condition?
He wants you to drop this story that your wife did the shooting.
But it's the truth.
It may be the truth, John, but it sounds like a lie. Pelham has had vast criminal trial experience. He says you'll end up antagonizing the jury if you try to put the blame on Jones.
And if I do what Pelham says, he can get me off?
Well, off the murder charge anyway. With a lot of evidence we can't dispute. Your telephone number in Bryant's diary, the appointment for 11:30, the check. And if that wasn't enough, we've got Weber's identification. Pelham's pretty confident you can get the court to accept that you killed Bryant accidentally. He was blackmailing you.
But he wasn't.
He was blackmailing you. You had to meet him in the woods. You knew he was dangerous, so you took a gun to protect yourself. There was a struggle, and the gun went off accidentally.
No. If I can't get off by telling the truth, then let them find me guilty of murder. I'm not lying my way into a manslaughter charge.
Then we don't get Sir Alfred Pelham.
Somehow we've got to get Joan to tell the truth.
Tell me how, and I'll do it.
She was meeting another man that night. If only we knew who it was. David. David, I know who it was.
Who?
It all fits, of course.
Who are you talking about?
Weber.
Weber?
I was meant to go back for that gun. I was meant to walk smack into the police. Now, who phoned the police to make certain they'd be there waiting?
Weber.
Who identified me as a man seen talking to Bryant?
Weber.
You see?
It's an interesting theory.
Theory?
Well, where's your proof? What evidence can we offer to the court?
Evidence. David, would a tape recording be evidence?
What tape recording?
Well, I've just remembered. God, what a fool I've been. It's been there all the time. The night of the killing, when Joan came in, I was using the dictating machine from the office. I forgot to switch it off. It was recording all the time. Everything she told me about killing Bryant is on that tape.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the machine's on the desk in my study.
And it won't have been touched?
Yeah, no, Joan doesn't know how to work it. Now, listen. The controls are on the microphone.
Yes, I know how they work. We've got one in the office. Joan's staying with her mother, isn't she? She won't be there.
Oh, the better. Look, you've got my spare key?
Yes. Now, keep your fingers crossed. With luck, you'll be out of here in a couple of hours. I'm ready, Constable. Dictating machine. Tape's fully wound on, so let's wind it back a bit and see what we've got. Try about here.
Memo to sales manager, copy to works engineer. Whilst last month's sales figures were encouraging, it is...
Try a bit further on.
And can assure you that the balance of your order will be fully up to specification, full stop. Yours sincerely, Managing Director. Next letter. Thank you, Joan.
David!
Joan! I thought you were your mother.
Oh, I couldn't stand it there any longer. What are you doing?
Listening to a rather interesting recording. Listen.
Oh, turn it off.
It's recording all the time. It's enough to clear him and put you in prison in his place.
What are you going to do?
What do you think I'm going to do? I press the erase button, so. And erase everything off the tape. Yeah. Absolutely blank. Gone, never to return.
Oh, David.
All right, darling, all right. We're safe now. Thank goodness he told me and not the police. Poor John. He'll be so disappointed.
Over here, sir.
I got here as quickly as I could. What's the position?
Anakin is still in there, sir, with Mrs. Marlowe. He arrived about half an hour ago.
That's very interesting. I wonder why. Just to look at the woodworm, perhaps? Hello. The downstairs light has gone out.
The upstairs light's gone on, sir. That'd be the bedroom.
I wouldn't have thought the woodworm had extended that far.
So Anakin's the boyfriend, sir. I thought it might have been Weber.
Weber? No, he's a bit too fond of a good cup of coffee to mess about with her.
Shall we go in, sir?
No, I want to question them separately. I don't think there's much chance of that until morning. No, I'm going home. The bedroom light's gone out now. She must be showing him her holiday slides. I'll leave you to keep an eye on things, Sergeant. I'll be back in the morning to have a little chat with her. Sorry to bother you at this early hour, Mrs. Marlowe, but I just happened to be passing. Just a couple more routine questions.
Would you like some coffee?
No, thank you. You got your gatepost fixed then?
Yes, the local gardener did it for me.
I thought you were staying with your mother.
Only for a few days. I came back yesterday.
Very brave of you to spend the night here, all alone. It must get very lonely. What time did Mr. Anakin go?
Mr. Anakin?
We've been keeping an eye on the place for your protection, of course. Where's the dictating machine? It was on this desk.
Mr. Anakin took it away.
So that's what he was carrying. We thought it was his overnight case. What did he want it for?
My husband asked him to pick it up. He thought there would be something on the tape to support his story.
But naturally there wasn't.
The tape was blank. There was nothing on it at all.
Nothing. Not even the letters your husband had dictated?
Letters?
The spool was completely wound on when I saw it the other day, which usually means it was full up. But if you say it was blank, then blank it was. You've no reason to lie to me, have you? Had you known Bryant long?
Bryant?
You remember the dead man in the woods?
I didn't know him at all, I've told you.
We found this in his flat. It's your photograph, isn't it, Mrs. Marlowe? Do you still say you don't know him? JM 1130? That didn't stand for John Marlowe, did it? It stood for Joan Marlowe.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me all about it, Mrs. Marlowe, eh? The truth, this time.
Blank? Nothing on it at all?
Listen for yourself. Not a sausage. You must have erased it.
That was my last hope.
I know, John. I'm sorry.
Ah, so this is where you are, Mr. Anakin. How convenient. Do you own a white sports car?
Yes. Why?
I think I gave it a slight knock as I drove in, so nothing to worry about. A dapper white paint. It'll be as good as new. The tape was blank, I understand, Mr. Marlowe.
How did you know?
Your wife told me. I've just come from your house.
You didn't tell me Joan was there, David?
Oh, just for the night, sir. I expect she only stayed because she didn't want to leave Mr. Anakin there on his own.
All night? You stayed there all night?
Now, listen.
Oh, dear. I have been tactless. The last thing in the world I want to do is to cause a split up between friends. It's a pity you didn't tell us about the tape, sir. It would have saved your friend the bother of erasing it.
I'd advise you to pick your words with care, Superintendent.
Much more carefully than your client picks his friends, eh? You know, framing a man you're supposed to be defending, even if he is your best friend, is sinking pretty low, even for a solicitor.
You're being deliberately offensive, Superintendent Bishop. I shall report this conversation verbatim to the Chief Constable.
Very well done, sir. Very well done. I'd really be worrying if I wasn't so sure of my facts. It's only fair to tell you that your girlfriend, Mrs. Marlowe, has finally decided to tell us the truth. She made a fresh statement half an hour ago. As it implicates you, Mr. Anakin, you'd better have a copy.
There were reasons, Superintendent. Good reasons.
You have plenty of time to tell them to us, sir. Plenty of time. Jennings.
Sir?
Take Mr. Anakin up to the charge room, would you? I'll be along in a moment, after I've had a few words with Mr. Marlowe.
This way, please, Mr. Anakin.
My best friend.
We get the friends we deserve, I think, sir. And you certainly didn't deserve any better.
What do you mean?
What I mean, sir, is that you hired Bryant to kill your wife, to lay in wait for her in the woods and kill her as she returned home.
What?
Unfortunately, your wife was nervous. She'd seen Bryant lurking about before, so she took a gun with her, and she used it. You must have had the shock of your life when she came walking in that night. You were expecting Bryant to come for his £1,000.
Oh, this is nonsense.
We've got plenty of proof, sir, including this.
My wife's photograph.
The one you sent to Bryant, so he could identify whom he had to kill.
You've no proof I sent it.
You had enough sense not to include a covering letter, sir, agreed. But when we found it, it was still in its envelope, and the envelope was addressed to Bryant in your handwriting. Blackmailers never throw away anything that might prove profitable in the future. That £1,000 wouldn't have been the last payment he'd have demanded for his services.
Yes. I'd have a job to explain the envelope, wouldn't I?
And we've also got Weber's evidence. He saw you talking to Bryant the previous night.
That damned man, if he hadn't stumbled across the body so soon, I'd have got away with it.
The sad thing is, none of it was necessary. Your wife was telling the truth when she said she'd chucked up her boyfriend. She'd finished with Anakin that night and was going to stick by you and keep her money and your precious business. But when you went out to look for the gun...
I left the wretched check on my desk. Bryant's check.
Yes. As soon as she learned the dead man's name was Bryant, she put two and two together and decided to change her story, which left you in a cleft stick. The only way out of it was to admit to us that you had hired Bryant to kill your wife. You'd like to make another statement, I suppose?
Yes, I suppose so.
Number 3, if my memory serves me correct. Come on, then. Oh, and if I were you, sir, I'd get another solicitor.
In Cleft Stick by R.D. Wingfield, the part of Detective Superintendent Bishop was played by Douglas Blackwell. Detective Sergeant Jennings, Anthony Vickers. Joan Marlowe, Diana Olson. John Marlowe, Vernon Joyner. David Anakin, Rolf Lefevre. Police Constable, Anthony Hall. Weber, Sam Dastor. The play was produced by David H. Godfrey.
Transcribed. Ladies and gentlemen, the Railroad Hour. And here comes our star-studded show train. Tonight, the Association of American Railroads brings you a popular version of Balf's immortal opera, The Bohemian Girl, starring Gordon MacRae and his celebrated guest from the Metropolitan Opera, Dorothy Kirsten. Our choir is under the direction of Norman Luboff, and our music is prepared and conducted by Carmen Dragon. Yes, tonight another thrilling musical drama is brought to you by the American Railroads, the same railroads that bring you most of the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the fuel you burn, and all the other things you use in your daily life. And now, here is our star, Gordon MacRae.
Thank you, Marlon Miller, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I shall be Thaddeus, and Dorothy Kirsten is Arlene, in our Railroad Hour impression of the Bohemian Girl. The wind that blows through the pine tops of the Austrian forests also fans the campfires of the wandering gypsies. There are no marble halls in the mountain wilds, and only the boughs of the forest make a roof over our heads. But a man or a woman can be happy serving in the band of the Gypsy King.
In the gypsy's life you read the life that all would like to lead. In the gypsy's life you read the life that all would like to lead. Sometimes under and sometimes from where the wild makes his lair, where the wolf makes his lair, where the wolf makes his lair. For he who's on to call his own will find a home somewhere. For he who's on to call his own will find a home somewhere.
Thaddeus,
Yes, my love.
do you ever dream?
All the time. When I'm with you, Arlene, I dream of everything lovely in the world. And I don't even have to close my eyes.
Sometimes this gypsy life we lead seems to be a vision. And the dream I have over and over again and again, my dream seems to be reality.
What have you dreamt, my love? Tell me.
I dreamt that I dwelt in marble halls with apple and surf at my side, and of
My love is as deep as deepness, bright as brilliance, eternal as eternity.
Yet there is a mystery which mars our happiness. Who am I? Where did I come from? Am I worthy of you?
Oh, my love,
This mark on my arm, I have seen you looking at it many times. And on your face there is a touch of memory, a distant pain. Tell me, Thaddeus, help me solve this mystery.
I will tell you.
The wound upon thine arm, whose mark through life will be, in saving thee from greater harm, was there transfixed by me. Head on thy gentle head, thy sixth sun had its radiance shed. Oh, while deed who had lain at bay pursued by hunters crossed the way. By slaying him I rescued thee, and in his death throes agony, thy gentle form by his antler gold, this humble arm to thy home restored.
Strange things move his breast, it never knew before. Unveil me here, before that you reveal the rest.
The secret of her birth to me is only known. The secret of a life whose worth I prize beyond mine own, beyond mine own.
The secret of my birth to you only known. The secret of a life whose worth greater than thee will disown. Speak, tell me, is my fortune home? Speak, evil or good, evil or good.
I will tell thee, although I lose thee forever. I will tell thee, although I lose thee forever.
Wait! Devil's Hoof, as king of this gypsy tribe, I order you both to join in the village of Arnheim.
But he was going to tell me.
My child, it is sometimes better not to know too much. The village fair is to start, and they expect us to dance and sing for them. My love.
Come, take my hand.
You have long been betrothed according to the customs of the gypsies. Why not make this fair day your wedding day?
I will not force Arlene until she is satisfied in her mind.
I owe you my life. And long ago I gave you my love. Take my hand. Or do you not wish a gypsy bride?
Arlene.
Gypsy bride, and we fare to the fair. Come, amazing dance, with the hours and chance. Come, gypsy bride, and we fare to the fair. Come, amazing dance, with the hours and chance. Come with the gypsy bride, we'll so the life beside. Life can give nothing beyond when heart you know will be fond. Will be the caution of the peace content can supply. Where freezing heart cannot buy, the peace content can supply. And rank in its soul cannot find the calm of the happy mind. And rank in its soul cannot find the calm Chesterton!
You're all invited to our wedding.
An excellent performance. Gypsy Chief.
Yes, Count Anna.
Tell me, who is the beautiful child who dances so exuberantly?
That, Your Excellency, is our bride. Within the hour, she will be married.
Bring her here. I should like to wish her happiness.
Yes, Your Excellency. Arlene, go speak with the Count, but only for a moment, I pray you. We do not wish to delay the wedding ceremony.
Of course. Your Excellency.
My child, I wish you much joy in your lifetime. Long ago, I had a daughter. But now the marble halls of my castle are empty, and I am a lonely old man.
What happened to her, sire?
Stolen from her room many years ago. She was only a child of 6.
Sire.
Someday, perhaps, I shall find her. But do not let me spoil the happiness of your wedding day.
Sire, tell me, would you know your daughter if you saw her again?
Only by a mark.
A mark?
On her arm.
Was it a mark like this?
What? My child. My daughter.
Oh, Father. It is the man who saved my life many years ago who is to become my husband today. Thaddeus. Where has he gone? Thaddeus!
Do not leave me, my child, on the day of our reunion.
I must find Thaddeus! Thaddeus! Oh, Thaddeus, where are you going?
Into the forest, where gypsies live. You must go where you belong, Arlene. To the marble halls you dreamt about. I cannot go with you.
No?
But I only ask and hope that you will think of me and remember. Please remember.
When other lips and other hearts their tales of love shall tell, in language whose excess imparts the far they feel so well, there may perhaps in such a scene some recollection be of days that have as happy been, and you'll remember me.
Goodbye, my love.
Thaddeus.
return for the second act of The Bohemian Girl in just a moment. If you were asked what it is that makes possible the world's highest standard of living here in the United States, you would find it pretty difficult to single out any one thing that contributes more than any other to the production and distribution of America's vast wealth of goods. For really, it takes a combination of our rich natural resources, our unparalleled agricultural production and industrial capacity, and the freedom of enterprise of our people to turn out all the things we need and use in our daily lives and must have for our defense. And essential to this combination is our continent-wide mass transportation system, whose backbone is the nation's railroads. Day in and day out in all seasons and in all parts of the country, trains are ever rolling, carrying raw materials and finished goods, the products of farm, forest, and mine, of mill and factory. These trains are doing the nation's big transportation job, supplying the basic service that this big country must have. For our railroads produce more intercity freight transportation service than all other forms of transportation combined. And only railroads can do a job like this, and do it with an overall economy in the use of fuel, materials, and manpower, which no other form of transportation offering general services even approaches. Without this basic, all-commodity and low-cost moving job being done by railroads, we could not produce and live as we do. That's why it's so important to all of us that these essential railroads be allowed to keep themselves strong, ready to go on meeting the big needs of our big commerce and the growing demands of national defense. To be able to do this, railroads must be permitted to charge freight rates, which will produce revenues adequate to meet their cost of operation and yield earnings that will attract the capital investment necessary to continue their large-scale program of improving their service for the nation and for you.